Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu v'tzasad v'tzivanu l'chad l'kner shel Shabbos u'Yom Tov. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'achiyanu v'kiyamanu v'higyanu l'zman hazeh.
Ivashanote ila kisama soliata viana malakotse beshesa. Sumonomia aliavokuia miananiato olokosho sufisa sinatia la kotareki la shanose gladia rokoshamekia la tiroko shogaya diavo siataya alashi sumate. Good day, good love, and good light, illuminators and way showers. Thank you, guardians of Gaia and angels of the earth. I thank you today. Dave and I thank you today. I'm Wendy, this is Dave, and we share with you this Goddess Friday on May 29th, 2020. Today's date equaling 2 and 11, 11 being my favorite number. And today we are honoring several things today, including Gaia, Green Man. For those of you who are not familiar, we'll be talking a little bit about that as well. And if you're new to the channel, we share light languages and how discovering our multidimensionality, how it helps us navigate our connection not only to the earth and to Gaia, but to our hearts, to our higher minds and our higher selves, to the higher and other aspects multidimensionally, meaning actually existing in other dimensions that are constantly in contact with all of us. And how does this phenomena of light languages, as it's spreading like beautiful clover and flowers across the earth, how does this, and symbols and synchronicities and metaphysics and symbols, signs, television, movies, how does exploring all of this help us connect the dots? How does it help us figure out who we are? And how does it help us know ourselves? So one of the things we wanted to explore today with all of you as well is this idea of how we, all of us, the entire globe, have been really catapulted into a situation where we are really exploring ourselves. We're exploring our environment, more of what and who we are, what is important to us, what isn't important to us, where we want to spend our love, our time, our energy. Today is about green, lots of green synchronicities this last couple of weeks with Dave and I, as well as the heart chakra energy and the idea of opening our hearts in ways that we never have before to ourselves, becoming more in touch and more intimate with ourselves. And so we ask all of you to join us each and every Friday, whether it's to dress up like we do and explore your multidimensionality, to share I also share oracle cards, how all of the messages through the oracle helps us connect with our angels, our higher selves, other dimensions, planets, and how it helps us connect to the God and Goddess within us. This is the main reason we do this, is to empower and embrace the divine within us, to show us all we are the light of the light. We are the walking light. And we are illuminators for each other, and we are mirrors for each other and reflections for each other. So this last few weeks has been, well, and actually a few months has been for all of us about reflections, about going inward, about expanding outward through the sacred circuits and symbols through Sirius. Today is 11 and 2, which are 11 is realize and 2 is expand. So we're being asked today to expand in order to realize, and to realize more of ourselves in order to expand. So I'd also like to ask Dave to share with us today about the holiday that we're also celebrating today, and a little bit about what that means and how it's connected to everything that we do every day, and including our candles, our incense, crystals, oracle cards. If you'd like to join our room, the link is on my website. The link to that is in the chat there if you'd like to join us. And you can also interact with us on the chat and on the chat inside the room here with us as well. So maybe you'd like to share with us where we'd like to start today with.
Well, today and for the next couple of days is the Jewish holiday Shavuos, which is commemorating the receiving of the Ten Commandments after the Israelites had left Egypt with the Passover story. Interestingly, the tradition is that you count the days, which is 7 weeks, comes to 49 days, and on the 50th day, on or about that, because it's unclear to me exactly the timing of the whole thing, but Moses got the 10 Commandments. And part of the tradition is during that time, there is a sort of purification that the Jewish person goes through to prepare themselves to receive the 10 Commandments. And there are special prayers that are said every day. There is a counting of the days specifically. And we looked into this whole thing a little bit and found out that actually the counting of the days and the timing of both Passover and Shavuos corresponds to celebrations that existed far beyond and before the Israelites received the Ten Commandments and escaped from Egypt. And it had to do with the harvesting of, what was it?
First, it was the barley. So the barley harvest in the early spring.
So Passover happens to also fall at the time that the barley harvest occurred and was celebrated. And it was very important at that time to keep track of when that happened and how that corresponds to the moon and the other cycles. And the wheat harvest happens to be starting 7 weeks following that. And it was very important to pay attention to those things so everyone knew when to prepare for the harvest. So synchronistically, so I don't say coincidentally, synchronistically, Passover happens to fall on the first harvest, and the Shavuos, where the 10 Commandments were given, happens to be on the wheat harvest and the starting of that. And what we also found out was that was celebrated far earlier than the Jews leaving Egypt and the Israelites leaving Egypt. And Jewish people traditionally also celebrated Shavuos by decorating the temples in green and flowers and dancing around in ways similar to the May Day.
Yes, when we talked about the May Day a couple of weeks ago. So,
so it all sort of ties together. So one of the other things that Wendy, I'm sure we'll talk about shortly, are the idea of the 7 days and the 7 weeks cycles, which comes to 49 days. And in addition to that, perhaps even the 7-year cycle, which we're not sure exactly where that falls into play, but with agriculture and other things, and I think like locust and other things happen every 7 years.
So if there's any information you guys have to share, either in the chat or if you want to hop in the room and let us know if you've got any information about that, maybe 7-year cycles that you'd like, information you'd like to share.
And I have a whole paper of things that I want to read. So I'm going to try to do it quickly. But the first thing that I wanted to talk about, you see that we light the menorah. And today there is a slightly different blessing on lighting the candles for Shavuos and on a Friday, preparing for the Sabbath. But we found out a couple interesting things about the menorah itself that I wanted to read. And this is sort of what the menorah teaches us. So each of us has some special talent or gift that is our unique strength. No matter how special others may seem, you are able to bring your unique perspective and insight and talents into a combination that no one else can produce. In the words of the Mishnah, which is a Jewish Hebrew writing of learning, there is no one who doesn't have their hour and nothing which does not have its place. Each one of us in our own ways can add something irreplaceable to the luxurious weave of humanity. Every individual person, like each glistening thread, makes the cloth that much more shimmering and durable. No one can replace you. Perhaps that is also why the menorah has so many lights. It has 7 lights. The temple menorah has 7 lights. Each one of the 7 lights shines its own uniqueness. Perhaps this too is an assertion of the importance of each individual. The 7 burning flames testify to the shining light within each human being. The human soul is the lamp of God. The light of God's love, justice, and concern can only illuminate the world through the individual light that we shine through our deeds, our communities, and through our performance of those good deeds. Like the menorah old, we can illuminate the world. And of course, there's also 7 chakras, 7 colors of the rainbow. So the number 7 appears in a lot of places and everywhere, and that is certainly an angelic and spiritual number.
Yes, it is.
So it's very interesting how all of that sort of ties together. And then I have a whole bunch about the Green Man, which I will read when you tell me to.
Oh, well, yeah, we can probably, well, just to reiterate just a little bit on what you just said too, there's a few things that in the lighting of the menorah, I'm new to all of this. I am not Jewish. Well, that's, I don't know, debatable in another life, but there's something I'm deeply connected to this idea, and I've even sort of taken it upon myself a little bit to light our menorah every morning and to say blessings at the altar and light incense, and learning the Shema, which and maybe you might even want to just explain a little bit what that is, but just the one sentence, but something that comes over me, which I've explained to Dave a few times, is just the act of lighting it and standing there and lighting an incense and being present in that moment gives it's as if I'm connecting to all of these other aspects of myself and this high priestess energy within me, this idea of ceremony that really I don't think I ever appreciated in myself before, that things that maybe I even resisted and rejected because of all of the belief systems that were tied to that, even though I knew it was important, such as lighting a candle to speak to our angels. When I first started waking up, that's the first way I started waking up, was lighting a candle every morning and asking, how do I talk to my angels? How do I close my eyes and light a candle and invite purification? How do I invite higher wisdom? How do I invite my connection to my angels and my spirit guides? What does that even mean? And to my spirit animals. Don't even forget about talking about the turtle. Mm-hmm. So lighting the candle in the morning, and it brings me, it's almost as if some mornings I can picture maybe a star system being, or some mornings I picture myself as Isis, or some mornings but I hear every morning, and there was something that you had read, I think in this, where I heard like every morning by doing this, I'm lighting the light of the world, but that wasn't what they were saying. And then something that you read in there, was it yesterday, I think it was, where it was lighting the lamp. How did I say that? Like lighting the lamp of the world. It was like lighting the lamp of each of us, of the light within us all. And by doing that every morning, it's as if they were showing me, just me alone, with that intention of wanting for everyone to see the light within themselves, and illuminators. We are illuminators to each other. So it felt like every morning, this reverence, this part of me I didn't really even appreciate or value, I think, and even the power that each one of us has in recognizing your special talents and gifts, and not comparing ourselves to others, but understanding that just by being ourselves, we're illuminating all these parts of us. And by doing that and knowing ourselves and being more of ourselves, we really are illuminating the light within each other and giving each other permission to be more of ourselves, which is another main reason why we do this every Friday, is to get all of us to come out of our shells and become more of all that we are, connecting to more of what we are, being fun, bringing out your inner child. How does this help you relate to your day-to-day? How does it help you relate to the trees and Gaia and the sky and the earth and the shaman within you? So this is what I was feeling every morning. And even though I've never spoken Hebrew, I feel this connection that I don't really understand. And I know it has something to do with, as Dave said before, long before people. This was, and even the 7 days, we talk about the 7 days of creation, if you will. And it's just interesting to me how all of this ties together, and how I feel as when I'm lighting it. And then I start hearing the words as I'm repeating them, and feeling, not just hearing the words, but feeling the meaning behind them and what they actually mean. And yet it really is everything that I've learned since I started waking up. It's the same exact message. We're all one. The one is the all. The all are the one. God is us. We are all God. We are all gods and goddesses. We are all the reflection of Source. That is the first thing that the emissaries of the Light Collective and the Elohim said to me. You are the reflection of Source. This is what you came to show people, that they are each the reflections and lights of Source. When you are being everything that you came here to be, your light grows brighter and brighter and brighter. And that's how I feel every morning. And I started feeling this way when I started invoking my angels with lighting the candle, but this has taken this all to a whole new level for me. So this is all new to me, yet it doesn't feel new to me at all. It feels a part of me, like forever a part of me. So, and then I was really excited about, we had started talking about this idea of green and green man, and we've had a lot of green synchronicities in the last couple of weeks, and how all of this started, even that idea of green man actually started tying into the God and goddess energy. And how does that tie into Gaia and our reverence for the inner wisdom, the inner ancient wisdom that we carry within us, that ancient knowledge that really is awake in all of us. Once we're looking for it, you realize that everything is connected to everything, and we do have access to everything. And purification is something I wanted to talk a little bit about today, too, because of, as Dave said, that purification process, and something that I had even said to him about being more mindful. Because what did you say that the practices, the celebration for the 49 days is? To take that time to be
to purify
yourself, to prepare for receiving.
Right.
And that's how I was feeling like during that time. This time globally, we've all been going through this purification
so
process.
It just so happens that the sequestering and having to stay home seemed to start right around the time of Passover. And 49 days since then is about now.
And it's starting right now, at least in some parts of the world, in the country here in the United States, where they're, going through the phases of, going back to opening things up slowly. So it's very, very synchronistic also about this idea of green, the green energy, and opening our hearts. This is time to open our hearts in a way we never have before, and allow this green energy and this purification. And one of the things I wanted to mention to you guys is, I wanted to hold this up really quick. I've got a bunch of things here, but I wanted to mention about permission slips. Oops, I dropped it. One of the things that I wanted to talk about was permission slips and purification, and that I was guided to remind us all that, and even when it's talking about purification, protection, let's talk a little bit about that, about the idea of protecting ourselves from what we believe is negative energy. Because our belief is, our perception is our reality. And if we believe we need something to purify or protect us, just lighting the candle, invoking the angel, saying, I know I am protected. And I have always believed that once I asked, I was done needing protection, unless I believed for some other reason I wasn't anymore. And so my guides have always said to me, once you ask, it's done. It's your belief system that falters away from feeling you're not protected. So the one thing they wanted me to mention today is, now this is the acacia wood that Dave bought. I like to call them vessels. And I just love the shape of it, the beauty of it all. And this holds incense, as our acacia wood altar holds incense. Another thing, if you're new to the channel, if you haven't watched some of our previous Fridays, we have talked a little bit about acacia wood, the tie to incense. Incense is tied to purification, and it's tied to God. Its idea of burning incense is like the smoke signal to source, if you will. And so I wanted to remind everybody that we use sage as a purification. So in here, we've got a few different things. And so I've got some, this is white sage, a little bundle there. Dave
Smells really good.
Oh my God. And you just bought me a most beautiful sage bundle. What was that the other day? I've got it drying right now because it's so fresh.
Sage and
it smells so good. The one you just bought.
Yeah.
I forgot already. Gosh, we've got so many now. And it's so fresh. It's like they instructed to lay it out like a couple of days on the windowsill to let it dry a little bit. And so I wanted to remind everybody that one of the things that I was guided to, and we can connect to sage, the energy, the essence, the being, the entity, sage, because sage is a sage, right? Sage is a wisdom. Sage is when we go to a sage, or when we talk about sage wisdom, it's all tied to that as well. When we're burning sage, it actually does, literally, scientifically, you guys, purifies the air. It doesn't mask it. It literally has a purification essence, what am I looking for? Property to it. And it does. I mean, you can look it up now. So what in addition to that, what I wanted to say too is that we also have, following the purification with the sage, we also have different forms of Palo Santo. So this just happens to be Palo Santo sticks, like incense sticks. And in addition to, your Palo Santos, and then the sweetgrass. So one of the things I wanted to show you was, now this was a gift. Thank you, my dear sister, for my beautiful sweetgrass gifts. And this one is from Dave. And so I will take little pieces off, and we will often burn them in our little dish there, or I'll take a few pieces off and burn them with my incense. Following the sage, this has this additional purification process that is a very powerful permission slip. And when we say permission slips, any tool, any ritual, anything, any practice, anything that we do to make us feel closer to our higher selves, to our guides, to knowing more of ourselves, to asking more about what we want to know about ourselves, all of these things give us permission to do that. Everything we have around us, oracle cards, crystals, the runes, the candles, all of this stuff around us gives us permission to explore more of who we are. That's why we do this on Fridays, because we want to explore that divine within us. And if it, and part of that is playing with this stuff and realizing that it really does have a physiological and a physical effect on our environment. So I just wanted to share that with you, that I was reminded that sometimes when we talk about, ooh, what's this? Dragon's blood. So this is the actual, now most people, I honestly have never seen this stuff in this form. So
that's the actual
this is
resin.
this is the actual resin. And then what do you just we break up a little bit, and then you burn it on the charcoal thing. And then here's the little charcoal little guys to heat up. So all of these things are just ways of, oh, this is, what is this one? White ash. So that's another thing.
I don't remember where we got
this also connects us, you guys, with the tree collectives, the plant collectives, the shamanic energy within us. All of this helps us connect with these parts of us. And so I was just reminded about, I was born in a place called Elmhurst. And so when we talk about trees, and if we look around and just pay attention to even signs, cities, street names, look around and how many plant names and tree names and our city names and states and streets. And so it's interesting that and my bookmark, I just love this. Dave got me this bookmark. And so all of these I use as permission to become closer to all of you, to all of my guides, to all of the parts of me, to Gaia, to the trees. And it helps inspire me. And so I wanted to inspire all of you to just use these simple tools as purification, permission. And many of us have been having trouble sleeping, and a lot of energy stuff going on, and a lot of DNA upgrades, and a lot of stuff going on. And so I'm reminded too about to go back to the basics: breathing, burning incense, spending this time that we have left to take advantage of this time of realizing what we do and do not prefer, and what energy do we want to, what state of being do we prefer every day, and how can we use these simple things to allow our state of being to elevate to a point. When I say elevate, I mean raise our vibrations to where we're actually hearing information more purely from our guides and our angels and our higher selves. So with that, I wanted to, if you guys have been watching us for a little bit, or if you haven't, one of the things that we explore here are symbols, signs, things that archaeological ideas, Egypt, the idea of gods and goddesses, and how do all of these things connect to all of this and all of us and our higher selves. And so it was interesting that I'm not even sure how we even got on the idea of green man, but something made me, we have been talking about green. Oh, and then I found this green sea glass thing. So I hung this up, and then the little pieces of driftwood, and there was something then the green beads, something was very significant to me a long time, well, several weeks ago. I say a long time ago, but then I was guided to actually take it off and show it to you guys, because something as simple as this, and using something like this as permission to connect with the sea, the idea of glass, heat, Gaia, volcanoes, and then the sea, and how it softens things, but yet the water is strong, yet it allows us to float. And so there's all kinds of messages that we can receive when we're hanging things like this. And chimes, Dave's been buying different chimes. As we know, singing bowls is sound healing. So all of these things give us permission to connect with parts of ourselves. And today I was finding all these green things looking. So these are just magnets that Dave bought, refrigerator magnets. But this is one of the things I was guided to show you guys. This is the kind of simple stuff that say to our higher selves and our guides, sorry.
I was trying to see which one it was.
These are like, some of them are celestial, some have, and if you look really close, this one has like a little bird with a, see? a little bird in a bird cage. And so when I'm, every single time I open the refrigerator and I'm looking at these things, this activates us. It activates these higher aspects of ourselves to say, I want more. I want to know more. Tell me more about how when I connect to flowers, what does that do for me? And how does that help me, with abundance and healing? And what does that got to do with anything? So this is what we kind of try to connect the dots with, and to help us all connect the dots of all that we are, but understand everything's connected. And I even was guided today to use my rainbow glass, because we were talking about the rainbow, the 7 chakras,
Seven
and
candles on the menorah.
yes, and the green, the leprechaun and the rainbow and the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and how he reminds me of a leprechaun sometimes.
I also did want to mention too about the idea that how all religions have traditions
Yes.
and certain ceremonies, and I would suggest that throughout time, different interpretations have occurred with all the ceremonies and the traditions, and maybe look at each of these things that are done. For instance, the incense in the church that we found out it's actually purifying.
Actually, yes, we talked
purposes.
about that for health purposes.
The idea of how certain holidays fall in line with other things that might not have anything to do with what they say the holiday is. Maybe, even Thanksgiving and Christmas and those types of holidays probably have much more deep-rooted
exactly
meanings. So take all of those traditions and create your own meaning for them. So don't rely on what people are telling you the holiday is for. And of course, it might be for that as well, but there might be other things important, hints and clues, and pieces of the puzzle to put together to try to figure out what meanings they have for you and how you could apply them in your daily lives. So just like lighting the menorah and the counting of the 7 days and 7 weeks.
Yes, which I will get into a little bit more after we talk a little bit more about the Green Man. And I was actually just checking the notes here, you guys choose, or the live chats. I wanted to thank all of you guys for being here, for participating in our chat. We love your comments. Please do send us your questions, your comments, anything more that you'd like to maybe address in these hangouts. And we talk about a lot of different energies in here. So I was looking at the notes here too, and Sacred Geometry said, I feel very connected with the Jews' traditions too. And isn't it interesting that I didn't really grow up with any, it was more of a Christian-based household, but not really deep-rooted in ceremony and tradition and things like that, other than, just your average, getting together for Christmas and holidays and, and things like that. But this is one of the things that I have found so, I don't even know the word, it really is heart expanding for me when I start to listen to the information behind these blessings, behind these traditions, behind the stories behind the stories, I guess, if you will, and learning more about this from a completely different perspective. So it's just very interesting how I feel so connected to that as well. Jessica says the firefly is a totem guide that also reminds us that we illuminate from the inside out, shine on. Thanks, Jess, for being here. Jesse's in the room. Hey, Jess, thanks for being here. And this is our rainbow girl. Talk about rainbows. Oh my gosh.
Well, it's funny too, because you're talking about where the synchronicities of the green and the Green Man came from. For the last couple of weeks, we've been saying a lot of things, including the front porch.
Yes, the front porch, yes.
I decided I would pull out a new pipe that I had for
and I was like, we got to do the green one.
It was a green pipe.
And May is the green, emerald is the birthstone.
And it turned out that the
color.
The name of the pipe, for whatever reason,
oh my God,
there was like you know,
It
like
was a whole,
the style of the pipe came from, it was Italy, I think.
yes.
But the word that was used actually means rainbow.
Yes, that's right. It means rainbow.
And
It was so weird.
yeah, so
I mean, all these
so we have,
weird
it's a green
connections.
pipe, but it was called from like the rain, it was some Italian word, but it was the
But it
rainbow
means
collection.
rainbow collector. Yeah, it was really crazy.
And then you had your poster about the green.
Oh yeah, because I have this poster and says, it says the green porch at Monet's garden, and it's just a print I found at a garage sale one day, I think it was. So, oh, and then Jody says the synchronicities are astounding. I put on my green shirt this morning, and I did. It's about heart chakra today. And my friend said Monday night he was very drawn to Green Man, and and didn't know why. See, this is the synchronicities. And I want to say, Jody, too, that this is a perfect example of when you guys come to these hangouts and we start hanging out together. Now, do you see how we literally are in each other's energy? I mean, how else do you explain that she's wearing a green shirt and then was talking about Green Man? Dave and I were just talking about Green Man. So all week long, we've been talking about Green Man ever since last week. So it's very interesting, all of this. And then Jody says dragon's blood is her favorite incense, and I got the dragon's blood behind me too. And we talked about dragon energy. So very interesting, all of these synchronicities, and
the green turtle.
And the turtle yesterday. So we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, let's
let
go
me
on to
just
the Green Man. Yeah.
read really quickly about Green Man. And a lot of people sort of consider Green Man as sort of the spirit in the woods.
Yes.
Taking care of the woods and the woodland creatures and spreading life into everything in the woods. And I looked up some information specifically about the Green Man and found some pretty interesting things. And I'm going to read some excerpts of some information that I found. And you could look this up on your own, as we always recommend.
Yes, we do.
So you could find your own synchronicities and meanings. But the Green Man. Many have previously stated there are strong links between the origins of Robin Hood and the Green Man, who is also the ancient Egyptian god Osiris and the Greek-Roman god Dionysus Bacchus. And so we should hope to find something of interest in the many stories surrounding this enigmatic character. We must also remember that Moses was taught in Egypt, the home of the Green Man Osiris, and that Moses was the one who raised the brazen serpent into the wilderness to heal the people of Israel. And when you look at the Egyptian hieroglyphics, there are a few characters, gods that are green.
Yes.
Robin falls in love with his Lady of the Waters, or Queen of Heaven, a title that is also given to Isis, the sister wife of Osiris, and also given to Guinevere, later to be known as Maid Marian. Marian Mary, coming from myrrh, sea, water, and wisdom. He is also green like the Green Man, which is a special healing color attributed to many things surrounding the serpent cult, such as the emerald tablets, the color of initiation into Gnostic mysteries associated with the Masons, and the green glass of the Grail. This in itself points out that both Robin and John were seen to each have their own followers, much like Jesus and John. They are therefore must be the twins of Gnosticism, like Castor and Pollux, a duality and balance. Tammuz, Adonis, and Osiris are vegetation gods of greenness. Indeed, Osiris himself in the pyramid text at Saqqara is called the Great Green, and also appears green-skinned as a symbol of resurrection and life. The battle between Osiris and Set seems to all the more familiar now in the struggle that ensues between Robin and his arch-rival, the Sheriff of Nottingham. Osiris becomes Horus when resurrected, and we find that it is Horus who is protected by the Wajet snake, the green snake. Even in the way he dies, there are links with older mysteries. Robin is ritualistically bled to death like the ancient pagan sacrifices. The deed is done by the abbess of Kirklees, who acts as a priestess in some ancient pagan ritual. Could it be that the tales of Robin are more ancient than previously believed? Could they really be tales of ancient Egypt and even Sumeria, passed down over millennia and altered by time? So, once again, how these stories change over time and people interpret them how they want to interpret them, and some stories become more and more popular than other ones. And that's why I suggest that you look up this information yourself and compile the different perspectives of all the different stories and all the information, and come to your own conclusions about what you think things may be, and what kind of clues they may have for us.
I swear, I was shocked that was tied, because I
mean, Robin Hood in ancient Egypt.
Exactly. And Green Man and Osiris and Isis. And if, I was going to say, if you've been watching us for a little while, one of the things that we really spend a lot of time talking about is this idea of Egypt, and that idea of Sanskrit and the beginning of language, and just all of these things. And utilizing this stuff, we really do forget that we can call upon anything in all of creation. I was even asking today about what angels specialize in purification. And so it was, even that idea is when we're asking for that, it's immediate. I think we think there has to be this process, like for protection or purification. It's immediate. As soon as we ask, it's done already. It's like already done. That's what we have to remind ourselves is, as soon as you ask, it's done. So it's not the beginning of the process, it's the end of the process. Because once you've asked for it, you're there already. You can't be asking for something you're not in the mindset or the vibration to receive. So as we raise our frequency by using this stuff, we put ourselves in a frequency of being able to receive more information. And how do all of these things affect each and every one of us? So I was looking through my cards. This is the Earth Magic deck by Stephen Farmer. And I love this one too, because of how, there's the front, if you can see her, she's got, the butterfly, the owl, the rabbit. There's, what else she got in here? What else do you see in here? It's like hard to see all of the details sometimes. Butterfly. But there's the butterfly, and then she's, of course, she's got, the crescent moon. So I want to say too, right now, you guys, I've got my crescent moon on. And so even crystals, all of this stuff we've talked about before. Hey, Jody, great, glad to see you. We talk about crystals and how we use this stuff for protection and purification and connection and magnification. So all of these things help us connect more of all that we are. And I really was, it's interesting how every story, as Dave said, there are elements to all of these other stories that came from somewhere else. And so, so I wanted to share too, I didn't read this one yet. So this deck has a Green Man card in it. So I will show it to you. And I was trying to look up close up to see what else I can see in here, but and I'm very connected with fireflies as well. There's something about that idea, Jessica, about fireflies and that illumination. And it's very interesting that you brought up fireflies. And because synergy is the name of the card for this is the name of this for Green Man. And if you look closely, you can actually start to see maybe even faces in an image. And I'll hold it as close as I can so you guys can see some of the details in the card. So we really, in this whole time of this sequestering and coming within, we are synergizing with each other. We're synergizing with our other aspects. We're synergizing with Gaia. We are creating this new version of Gaia. And if you look at the back of these cards, I've shown this before. We got the meadow and the jewels. There's jewels hanging in the trees. Abundance, everything we need, we have. And it's a reflection. Each and every one of us is a reflection of each other and what it is that we need to synergize with. So I wanted to read today in the book, Green Man is Earth's vegetation personified. So funny that we're talking about vegetation. And actually, I was thinking too,
They just cut the grass this morning.
that's right. They just cut the grass here this morning. And Dave has 5 signs in Virgo. I mean, 5 planets in Virgo. So all earth signs, and wheat is the symbol for Virgo. The symbol is, believe it or not, if you look it up, the little loopy thing on there is the symbol for the wheat. I have been growing up in Illinois, in that area, lots of wheat fields, lots of farm fields. So I have always had this, and tall grasses, that kind of thing. There's even a big, I was going to drag it over here, but this thing of tall grass over here. And I use these as connections for me to that idea. Oh, we talked about bread, tradition, and bread and wheat, how breaking bread and is always a sign, I think, in almost every tradition of breaking bread together, gathering together, that synergy that comes together from that tradition of breaking bread together, and how wheat is the symbol of fertility, and even it's almost a symbol of gathering. It's like, because it's that symbol, that sign of wheat. And isn't that also a symbol in Hebrew?
It's one of
Judaism?
one of the 12 tribes symbols
Is wheat.
It's I just sort of remembered, of course, Passover talks of
bread
has to do with unleavened bread.
bread.
And at the time that the Israelites left Egypt was right before the wheat harvest. So it's sort of funny that bread and unleavened bread sort of plays a role in that.
Yeah.
But also when the Jews, when the Israelites traveled in the desert and were wandering in the desert, they didn't have any food. And that's where the mun or manna comes, the story comes from, where manna fell from the heavens for the people to eat. That was sort of a magical kind of food. It has been described to me when I was younger and we were learning about it as a sort of bread from heaven.
Oh, okay.
So I guess there's all kinds of different opinions on what it might have looked like. I think
even in Christian tradition, this story is very, very similar.
But it's sort of funny that I always sort of imagined that it was, like, looks like little pieces of bread.
Yeah, me too.
and then you walked around and you picked it up.
Well, in the Ark of the Covenant holds the 10 Commandments and the little pot of manna, and then the Aaron's staff with the flowers, everlasting flowers.
And that reminds me also that one of the things that we read was at the time of the 10 Commandments, which was received from Mount Sinai, that the entire mountain blossomed.
That's right. We talked about, which is a part of the reason for the flowers on the head as a symbol of that. Funny, he bought that for me, but so far it's been more appropriate for for him to wear it in these last few situations. So yeah, all of these. Do you see what I mean, you guys? All these little synchronicities that, and then I just want to remind everybody too. The Ark of the Covenant and Indiana Jones and the pyramids and all of it. See how it's all tied together? It's like, it's so bizarre how we have all of these stories that even you know, even in watching the Indiana Jones series, it was like all of this is tied into this idea of ancient knowledge and rediscovering all of that and who we are and what does all this mean and what does all this ancient stuff mean and the power behind these relics. Why are these relics so powerful? Why do we believe these relics are so powerful? Why do we go digging in archaeology? And why do we have fear of like disturbing a mummy? Why do we, we have a movie, right? The Mummy. So why all of these things? It's interesting how, again, we forget how we were being reminded in movies and television and books and stories about who we are, knowing ourselves. That's what this is all about.
It just occurred to me that we were talking about the Ark and Indiana Jones. In the end of the movie, after the whole thing of finding the Ark of the Covenant, at the end of the movie, they put it in a box in a warehouse that's filled with other boxes, and maybe everybody has their own Ark.
Oh.
And they keep finding them.
Oh, well.
Who knows what's in those other boxes, but maybe they're just a warehouse filled with arcs.
Individual, see? So all of these things are so, when we start investigating these little threads, it's like all of a sudden I'll be like, oh, let's look this up. Oh, let's look this up. And then I didn't even know what any of this stuff. So I'm learning along with everybody else. I'm just sharing what we're learning. And this is the stuff we do so that we can learn more about who we are, because it's fun, it's exciting, but yet it helps us navigate through our everyday life, the everyday, day-to-day stuff. And so when we ask, how does it do that? I don't know, it's magic. I don't know. I think it's just magic.
Happy Goddess Friday.
Thank you.
I don't think I
and
wished
to
everyone a
you,
happy
and
Goddess
to you,
Friday.
and to all of you. That's right.
I'm going to go check on AJ.
Okay.
I'll be right back. And I'm wearing a shirt from his rehab center.
Oh, yes. I am able.
am
It
able.
says, I am able.
Fitness.
I love it. So there's a little plug for the I Am Able Fitness Center. Green Man, synergy. Green Man is Earth's vegetation personified. Although he has many variations, this card depicts a more subtle and embedded representation. In other portrayals, he resembles the face of a man covered in green foliage as branches and vines sprout from every direction. There exists some form of Green Man throughout history and in a myriad of cultures throughout the world. And so that kind of symbolizes what we were talking about earlier. Often a symbol for the rebirth of life in springtime. And we talk about now in life in springtime, and actually because in Egypt, of course, it would have been the harvest in the spring, although in the northern hemisphere. But if you're in the southern hemisphere right now, it is the time of the harvest. Often a symbol for the rebirth of life in springtime, he's also been associated with the Lord of the Wildwood. Now, this is a funny synchronicity too, you guys, because I just got done mentioning a couple days ago to Dave about Wildwood, that where I grew up was a town near me called Wildwood. And when we would pick the kids up on the bus, that was one of the stops we had to make, was to Wildwood. And there's a sign actually here in the house that says Wildwood on it, and I believe it's in New Jersey. So it's interesting how Wildwood, and we're talking about synergy and trees and Green Man. And so that idea of Wildwood and how synchronistic it was that that word, that name actually happened to be in both of our lives. So very interesting how these little, and then wild wood, and we talked about wood and Palo Santo and trees and purification, and the back of the cards, wood, wild wood. So, and the idea of the elementals and the Fey realms. This is another reason why I was guided to dress like this today. The fairy in me, the Fey realm, my sister, hey Cindy, if you're watching, love you girl. She's always sending me stuff about fairies, and every single day she sends something. It's so synchronistic to what I'm experiencing. So I usually reshare them on my Facebook page because they're so synchronistic. It is so weird. So So I've been deeply, along with the green energy, deeply connecting to this idea of my elemental side and the Fey realms, and information's been pouring in about the Fey realms, and some of the things that they've been showing me about, and I've shared this in some of my videos before, about collecting the dew in the morning, and that there's magic to be had in that dew, and how it, and this, the idea of gnomes, and actually different kinds of fairies and light sprites and wood nymphs. A lot of that idea of, that I feel that connection to that idea of the woods. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, that's when I very first started making light language videos, where I was just speaking light languages, and they said to me, bring in the light codes from nature, from Gaia, from the sky, the earth, the sun, the moon, the clouds, the water, the lights dancing off the water. They're light codes, it's information. It helps synergize and activate this DNA within you. And it helps activate this purification idea of a better planet, a cleaner place, free energy. As we act in and act upon these things and recycle and take care of the planet and pick up garbage, we're literally, the action itself is creating that version of the planet that your body wants to exist in. Because again, there are billions of versions of Earth that we're all traveling through right now together. And second by second, moment by moment, we're moving through those. And we don't realize it because everything's moving with us. But as we go through these actions and do these things and use these permission slips, and using crystals, talking to the crystals in the ground. That's part of what the synergy is with this card. And to remind us, we can talk to the crystals. We can talk to, we know this. Oh, and I want to mention, so Jessica writes in the inside here, if ever human, I shall name this baby emerald ivy, emerald green, heart chakra, harmony. Harmony, synchronicity was my very first Facebook name. It's a long story and I don't have that page anymore, but harmony synchronicity is the first thing that they told me was part of what I was to show everybody, was how does this synergy happen with synchronicity, and how is that the harmonic chord to the higher version of yourself. So very interesting that you mentioned that also. And and Jessica also writes, also shared an illustrated portraits, this green man elemental on your Facebook page. So, and then the turtle yesterday too, which I shared a couple of videos about. So, which I'll get back to that in a minute, as well as far as grounding. So that's something else I wanted to share with all of you. As a representative of the plant kingdom, Green Man reminds us of the incredible synergy required for Gaia to maintain her delicate and dynamic balance. And we talked about balance. He just read that a few minutes ago. Dynamic balance among the various beings on the planet. Synergy is the interaction and cooperation. Guys, get it? Cooperation. We're in an operation together. Cooperation of two or more elements that produce a combined great effect greater than the sum of their separate efforts. Oh, that's just nice all the way around, isn't it? Which is all of us too. As we gather, they wanted me to remind you guys, as we gather in these hangouts and you watch these videos, no matter when it is, live or not, we really are creating that brighter, that synergy that produces a greater effect combined than we are individually. And that is one of the biggest messages that I get every morning when I light that, is by lighting it, I'm connecting to all of you, all of the lights of all that is. And I feel in that moment, literally connected to everything, everyone, all of creation, every time, every reality, every parallel reality, every dimension, density, much as the emissaries of the Light Collective came to me and said, we represent all densities, all dimensions, all aspects of everything, because it's also our highest excitement to do this with you as well. So that was when I started my channel, Languages of Lights, that was part of it, was it wasn't just about light languages, but it was about how does that connect us to everything, and why, and what does that mean, and how does it help us navigate? How does it help us feel supported every day? We witness this in the complex and cooperative interaction between plants, humans, and animals. One of the biggest things, one of the reasons I do this channel is to remind us ourselves about that connection. For instance, fruit trees propagate by being eaten by an animal that deposits it back into the earth after digestion. As a new plant grows, bees pollinate the flowers, and the cycle begins once again in nature's simple yet remarkable synergy. You have the advantage of an incredible synergy at this time. A flow of life is guiding you, where things just seem to fall into place as you move about your business. That's synchronicity. You are in a mutual cooperative interaction with spirit, as your will is aligned with the will of spirit and your mission is congruent with your sense of purpose. When this is happening, there is a synergy, a way that your life force is continually coming into balance with the forces of nature. There's also a synergy between your spiritual awareness and your personal self or ego. Be aware of the various idiosyncrasies of your ego and do not take any of them too seriously. I do that way too much. Know that your higher self is always looking out for your best interest. And I've been talking to my higher self a lot.
Nothing serious.
As Abraham always says, there's nothing serious going on here. In this cycle, tune in to that guidance, however it shows up, and you will find that you move through life with greater ease due to a synergistic balance of forces expressing themselves to you. So that is the message of the Green Man in Synergy. So that was, I think, a pretty appropriate message for all of us right now and everything that we're going through, and how we really all are being asked to open up our hearts and be more empathetic and compassionate. And I even read a little post I scanned on Facebook about, as things reopen, to be patient with people and each other and the workers. And it's the new. It is the new now. This is the new way of opening ourselves to each other and synergizing with each other in a way that we hadn't before. And
when I went out back,
yes,
I happened to notice the green Raphael candle.
Yes. Thank you for reminding me, because I was supposed to bring that to you guys and I forgot. We had bought a candle, and it's a green candle. And speaking of invoking the angels, Raphael, and it's asked to invoke Raphael. And what does it say for health? And I can't remember what the other, that's
Healing.
terrible. So, but that again, the green candle, and it reminds us too, angels. I was looking at my angel cards right here about invoking the angels and asking the angels for guidance and protection and purification if you feel you need it. But understand, even that's a belief that we have. If we believe we need protection, then we will create circumstances for ourselves that will support that. So what we want to support is that I know I'm protected. I don't need to continually ask for it. It's done. Once I ask, I know it. And once I know it, that knowing never leaves.
Well, I get to say something fun. If you believe that there's something you need protection from, what is that belief that's causing you to think that you need the protection? Because
yes,
the feeling is happening to identify what the belief is.
Yes.
So you can identify it and decide if it makes sense or not. And if it doesn't make any sense, it goes away.
It goes away. And it does. The illogicalness of it all of a sudden sort of, it literally evaporates the belief, because you begin to understand that belief is not in harmony with my highest persona, my highest version of myself, and they just simply fall away. It's not about trying. Trying is resisting. It's, as Yoda always said, it is do or do not. And if we realize you're either doing it or you're not doing it, it puts it more into perspective. And I was reminded too about what I was thinking about the purification and that process for the 49 days, and how it makes us be more present every single time we say a prayer, or we see 11:11 on the clock, or whatever numbers, or anytime we have a synchronicity, or this wanting to connect or invoke protection or our angels. In that moment, it's reminding you you're already connected to everything. You have everything you need always, no matter what. Even if you don't believe you have it, you already have everything you need. And I was looking through my notes really quick just to see if there was something I want to share with you guys. And so we're still in this idea of the new moon in Gemini, which is the reflections, the twin of seeing reflections of what we need to identify. As Dave said, what belief systems are we still holding on to as baggage that's not going to fit through this tunnel that with the new train that we're going on. So that's part of what all of this is about. And so this idea of what are these reflections showing us in by way of what belief systems are we hanging on to that do not support the God and Goddess within us. That's why we do these shows, to support that and to remind ourselves that and it's funny because today, again, being 5/29, 29 equals 11. Today's date equals 2, which is 11. So we've got this 11 energy again. And really it's 11, 11, 11. If you've got the 29 and 2020, so you've got 11 and 11 and 11. So it's all of these things are permission to really magnify and reflect this higher light within us. And I was just looking to see if there was anything else that I had written on here. I think we covered most of it, with the exception of I wanted to mention that I have mentioned a few times in that I have a playlist, and I've been reminded by my guides and by the Sasani Shikana to break this up into small videos for each day of the week. And there's a playlist on my channel called the Know Thyself 49-Day the Challenge. And this was something that was inspired by Bashar in an event, which all of the links to the event itself are in there in my playlist. And it's interesting how we were talking about the 49 days, because when I did that several years ago, that it was a 7-week, I did 7 weeks live, and each week, every day of the week, we are guided, invited to know ourselves more fully. And by simply doing a very short and brief exercise every morning and every evening, in the mirror, looking at ourselves in the mirror, it only takes a couple of seconds a day. But what's interesting is that most people don't stick with it, are uncomfortable looking at themselves, don't want to take the time to do it. It's a commitment to knowing yourself. And so it's interesting that we were talking about the days. Well, it's 49 days long. 4 and 9 equals 13. 13 equals transform. So the symbol for the Sirius symbol is transform for number 13. So it was interesting that specific challenge, as I called it, was 49 days long, and you do it for 7 days a week, and you do something different every day for 7 days, and you do it for 7 weeks. And so I, along with everybody else in the Hangouts every week, I did it along with everybody else. I didn't do it ahead of time. I did it with everybody else, and then we shared our experiences. So and I have since still, over all these last 5-6 years, been talking about this and been sharing it. I even shared a link, I think, to that playlist in last week's comments. So it's been important from the Sasani Shikani collective consciousness and their oversoul collective of Epsilon, Epiphany, and Eclipse that I'm deeply connected to. And this is their crystal, and their symbol, which is also like a green, it's like a beautiful emerald green. And the Interstellar Alliance crystals are also green. And this is also a hexagon, which I will point out the inside of the hexagon is also the inside of the Star of David, which is also the two triangles, our Merkaba. And then if you lay one triangle on top of the other, and if you look, they are the Star of David. So it's really about we talk about hexagons a lot. If you guys look at beehives, they're hexagons. The inside of the TARDIS, if you guys are familiar with Doctor Who, and we're going to talk about Doctor Who one of these days too, and Time Lords and time travel, but the inside of the TARDIS is all hexagons. So we see this in a lot of places, and I don't know if you can't really see the image, but their family crest is a triangle with a spiral inside. But it's interesting how it's the hexagon and also the color green. So sacred geometry. I was reminded of Metatron now, just all of a sudden too. I was like, oh, all of a sudden Metatron, because isn't the Metatron star is also several triangles. And so knowing thyself, that 49-day challenge, so back to that idea, is they have guided me to break it up into 7 small videos and doing each one a separate little couple-second video, whatever, couple-minute video, to refer to every day. So if something to remind everybody, but the playlist is there for everyone to watch, but it is, and I say but it is several years old, but the messages are identical. The instructions are all in there in the description. So you can certainly watch all of those, but I have been guided to kind of split that up into 7 small videos and present it in a particular way. So I will be doing that as I'm guided. So that's something that I, in addition to, reiterating the symbols and the symbols from Sirius, there are a few of us who, and also those who write symbols, many of you out there who are writing symbols, galactic symbols, glyphs, sacred circuitry. There was something else about the 15. What was I thinking about that? There was only 15. Oh, we can come back to that too. Something reminded me, I was kind of deviated there for a second. Something reminded me of the 15, but anyway, it's this idea of 49 days, this idea of being able to receive, I'm hearing not the Torah, but what is okay, if you had to, and maybe this is really a loaded question, but if you were to summarize what that means, what does that really mean? Receiving that. What does it mean? To me, it means receiving what? Receiving instructions for a joyous life, instructions for how to remember your God, that all that is everything, and everything is God, that to me, it's like receiving the remembrance of your light.
Well, there's also the idea of how all the good things are sort of flying around in your vortex. And when you align with your vortex, you're able to be centered and manifest those things to come in and receive them.
Yes, that's a very good way to put it. And so for some reason,
and the 15 with the manifest too.
Yeah.
Remember, we were looking at all kinds of things with numbers.
Yes.
And different numbering systems.
There was something about
and that 15 actually also resolved to a lot like 1111, and which is 1, and it's sort of like centered to manifest. And
yes.
What was
and even today is expand. So today is 11, so it's realized. So if you take the 2, which is expand, and then realize, which is the 11, it's like we're being asked to expand in order to realize more, to realize, make real our abundance, to realize more that we're capable of. as we expand our consciousness out and know ourselves more. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we're all really here to do anyway, as we exist, is just to know more about who all that you are? And then so we're so afraid to explore that. But really, as Bashar always says, what are you afraid of? You're only going to find more of who you are.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do know. So I was reading some of the notes out here too, in the chat, the live chat, and Jody says too that she's wearing her Metatron cube necklace. Hi, Heather. Love you, and love you guys all over the world. Hey, Dramatic, love you guys from all over the place. Hey,
Bev is here.
Hey, Bev, good. Welcome. I was thinking about you today, Bev. And then Dramatic says, 2020 here now when you talked about 2020. So the time, the time is also the synchronicities. So yeah, it's very interesting how all of these things and the green and how everything's coming into synergy.
And it's interesting how we were looking up names and the meaning of names and last names.
Oh, yes.
And
Look what I got.
Hey.
Yeah. Can you see this?
Yes. What is it?
This is my first ever box of Archangel Metatron.
Oh, you're kidding. So here we're talking about Meta. And I keep forgetting. I got a little Metatron star thing in our room, and I kept telling Dave I keep forgetting to bring it out to show you guys. So okay, guys, Metatron energy is here today. It's here.
So yes, I bought that because I was told that I know that all angels are around you, but I was told that Metatron was my guide.
Well, that's.
So I've been trying to connect with Metatron. And so I've got some sprays as well. Yay! Some really nice sprays.
So, and that's another thing I want to talk about with sprays, because I talk about this too, about making our own essential oil sprays. And so this is a perfect permission slip to add to your arsenal, if you will, you guys, is that idea. The Metatron spray, using the symbol itself, hanging it in your house, looking at it on the internet, looking at these symbols on the internet. The cards, what is that? Is that an oracle deck?
It is. It's a lady that
777 on Jessica's painting. I'm sorry, go ahead, Bev.
an English lady called Amanda Ellis.
Yes, I was going to ask you if that was Amanda Ellis Metatron spray. I had a feeling. And then Jessica just held up a painting of angel wings, and it had the 777 and it says Metatron on it. So 777 is also very synchronistic for Dave and I. The very first day we saw each other, met in a video chat, was on 7/7. And the day equaled 7. The whole date equaled 7. So 777 has always been very synchronistic with him and I. I have a bag, which I'll show you. I've showed it in a bunch of videos of my old videos, but I've got this bag that I keep, like my medicine bag stuff, and it's on it. It was a gift to me, and it's got 777 on it, lucky and loving it. And it's got pictures of, the 3 cherries on a slot machine. So it's all about abundance and money and luck. And so I love it. I love it. I love how all of these numbers are coming together, and how we're seeing them together, and all the 7s. I love it.
I'm very excited.
Yes. And so now, did you say, is that a card deck, Beverly?
Yes. Yeah.
Have you used it yet? Do you want to pull a card?
Well, I'm supposed to go. I'm supposed to do something with them first, aren't I?
Okay. Well, that's fine. If you, and I know sometimes, I know that I do the same thing when I get a new deck. I look at every card, I touch it, I shuffle them, I become acquainted with them. Again, it's just a belief system, you guys. You don't have to.
I know. But I feel that I want to have that connection.
Yes, and that's important.
This afternoon, and I had forgotten all about it. How could I forget? It was like, because this is my birthday treat to me.
Yay! So, happy birthday!
Well, it's not till next month, but
Well, that's okay.
I thought, well, I'm going to treat myself.
Well, I hope that you will. Once you are connecting with that deck, I would love to invite you to come and share some, share some cards with us. That would be really exciting. And again, I'm going to open it up to you, Beverly, and anybody else, as I've done with Jody before too. And I often do either Wednesdays with Wendy, or I'll do expanding with Wendy. I have different kinds of shows that I do. And one of the things about expanding, and today's number 2, expand. So one of the ways that we expand is by pushing ourselves out there and getting ourselves out. And so Jody and I had done a hangout together not too long ago. And Jody Reiki Medium here, 333 here. And so Beverly, I open that up to you too, that if you ever decide you want to do something just together, just me and you, and we can do readings with the Metatron cards. And, I love doing this stuff with people too. And because it helps us all expand. And I know that you have messages for people that you want to share. So very interesting. So,
well, I had a bit of a revelation last night. I wouldn't say I made first contact, because I know I've been in contact with the angels for a little while now. But last night, and they've done it to me before, and I asked for more clarity. And so they woke me up at 3:02, and I haven't been waking up. I was waking up all the time and having massive downloads. And
me too. Oh my God, I can't sleep, you guys.
So, but last night was different, because although I did get a download, the first thing they did, they woke me up when I was awake, and they knew I was awake and conscious. So my body's asleep, but my mind is fully awake.
Yes.
And in my vision, they went, and they clapped. And they did it twice, because every time, it was like, yes, we're here. And then I got visualizations. I'd asked to meet my star family. And I got all these images coming through of different star people. And they were in color, and it was just amazing.
Of every color. So we're talking about rainbows.
I got this morning at 5:30, because they woke me up again at 5. And again, I got when I was awake and acknowledging it, they clap. It's like, right, you want a symbol? We'll clap. We're here.
Funny. I was just telling Dave the other day, because I was like, it's like I'm waking up. Of course, I had all these, the 333 or 303 or 555. But the weirdest thing is that it was like you said, it was like they were waking me up like every hour, and like it was so strange. But and then in between, it was like my body was asleep, sort of, but my mind wasn't, or something. And then and I've been so active in my astral state, and then I can't remember where I've been or what I've been doing. And it's like, I'm telling you guys, I've been so tired, because I keep waking up, and then I can't go back to sleep. And then by the time I go back to sleep, they wake. I'm like, what is going on? Why is this happening? So it's happening to me too. And the constant ringing way more ringing in the ears.
The ringing has got so bad in my right ear. Well, it's not. I get the high-pitched ring, and I know that's when they want me to take notice of what I'm thinking at that particular time. But I've got this low hum that's 24/7, and obviously on a night time when it's quiet, it's even more intense. But it started giving me. So have you got this hum as well?
Oh, yeah.
And it started giving me earache. So I had to have a paracetamol, because I thought, I don't want to get poorly with this. My gland started swelling up where it was coming. Yeah. And of course, with coronavirus, it's the first time I've been out this week since lockdown. Because it's my friend's birthday, and I didn't want to miss it. And
So
I have got.
have you looked at any? Have you looked at any real estate?
No.
You knew I was going to ask you.
No, but she can't have a hedgehog, you see. So I bought her this little hedgehog for her birthday.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
Because I've got a hedgehog in my garden, And she says, "Oh, I can't have one because you've got 4 dogs." And they
Well, I'm
would,
gonna have to. I'll have to look that up in my animal spirit cards to see if I can find and see if I have a hedgehog card. It's really funny you said that about stars, because I was going through this deck, which is it's this one, Angels and Ancestors.
Yeah,
And,
nice. That's nice.
And I love this one. Kyle Gray. It's one of Jody Reiki Medium too, loves Kyle Gray stuff and met him. And so it was funny because I was looking for a particular card today, and yes, let's do that one first because this is a shorter one. So thank you, Dave, for reminding me. So yesterday evening, Dave's like, "Hey, stop what you're doing, go get your camera." And there was a turtle right out front. And so
I saw the turtle earlier on, what you see.
Yes, and so it was kind of funny because I took pictures of it, he took pictures, and I did a quick video. And the turtle is the very beginning of my story. It's been about ever since before I started my light language channel, I started posting pictures of this turtle that I had taken a picture of in my backyard a long, long time ago. And I sat there for hours waiting for this turtle to literally come out of its shell so I could take its picture. Oh, look at Jessica's holding up a big, giant, shiny. Look at the size of that turtle shell. Oh my God. Look at you.
Why can't I see anybody else? Can I see anybody else?
Can you, go to gallery. If you click on there's a little button up in the corner, up on your right-hand corner, it says gallery view or speaker view. You can change the view so you can see everybody on the screen, or just you, or just her. She's so funny. Look at her. This is so weird, you guys, because turtle shells have been in my awareness where I lived before. The eagles, there were turtle shells everywhere because the eagle is one of their predators. So
yes,
this idea of coming out of your shell was one of the very first things I ever posted on Google Plus, back with Google Plus. And hey, starfish. And that's when my guide said to me, "It's time for you to come out of your shell." Well, then I had used that photo for a video that I had done, my very first light language collaboration song video I had done with an author, Miguel Mendonça, and he's written some amazing books, you guys, and Meet the Hybrids, and I'll put the links to his stuff too, you guys. If you haven't read his books, they're amazing. And so my friend Jacqueline Smith and Krista Reza, they've been interviewed in his books. And so that's how I met Jacqueline Smith, was through Miguel. And so anyway, I used that picture as the thumbnail for that video. And then when Dave saw this turtle outside yesterday, I was like, okay, I have to make a video. And so again, about this whole time of us being sequestered and inside, we've been inside our turtle shell. And again, it is time to come out of our shells, you guys. It's time to come out and show our gifts, abilities, just like Dave read earlier. What is your special gift and ability? And even if it's similar or the same to someone else, it's not yours. It's not unique to you. And you'll find that a lot too. There's lots and lots of people now. 5 years ago, I could hardly find anybody speaking light languages, talking about it. And now it's like wildfire. People are activating and speaking it and drawing symbols and hand signs like I do and singing it. And so all of this is about putting, coming out of our shell. And so it was very interesting how that came full circle for me. And then the turtles, when I did my first light language event, I did my very first light language event with my friend Bree and Linda Hack here in Fort Lauderdale. That's when I met Dave for the first time in person. It just happened to be the August weekend where the turtles come in, the sea turtles come in to lay the eggs. So the whole beach is got the little, what do you call those? They're like little protected fences where the sea turtles come, and there's people who monitor the eggs around these little fences to make sure that nobody disturbs the turtle eggs. So that the turtle eggs, then she comes at night, she spends her time with her turtle, and then the eggs, when they hatch, they go back out to sea. I had a very emotional connection and light language activation and message from the Turtle Collective that night at the ocean when they went back out. And they said something to me like, I was singing and speaking light languages, and I had a wonderful weekend. I had just met Dave and AJ and all these wonderful people I spent time with. And it was the first time I had ever put myself out there with light languages in public. I had never done a public event and talked about all of this stuff. And so I was speaking light languages and blessing the turtle eggs. And they said something to me to the effect of as we go back out to sea, your light language blessings, we will carry, they will take something about,
spread them.
I will carry with
the
the,
ocean.
and then it was, yes. And then it was, and they showed me how the light language activations and blessings between me, my weekend, the people there, the people involved, the people that started speaking languages, the ripples. They showed me how all of those blessings were going out with the turtles, and that my life, the earth, everybody else's life was never going to be the same, never going to be the same. And I have to say, my life definitely changed from pretty much that moment on. And it was pretty clear within a pretty short amount of time that I had some major changes to make in my life, and literally left everything and started a whole new life here with Dave and in Fort Lauderdale. And so coming out of my shell in a way I certainly never had before. So it was very interesting that turtle yesterday kind of helped me come full circle with all of that, and helped remind me that the hardest things we've ever have to do are usually the best and the most beneficial. And when we're following our heart, that everything else just really does and can fall into place. And we really need to believe that. And Dave actually picked up after I did the video, and we did pictures, and you can find the video I made on my light language channel, and I posted on Facebook. Dave even made a little light language video, which I posted, and I posted the pictures. And he actually lifted him up off the sidewalk and carried him across the street to help him get across the street, her, to the little lake across the street. So I thought that was very sweet to help him across. So, and then the turtle had a little hitchhiker bug thing on his back. And so it was kind of like, Dave's carrying the turtle's carrying the little hitchhiker. It was just all so beautiful.
The turtle literally was on the sidewalk right in front of our house.
Right in front of it.
Went down the driveway and was looking back and forth to see if he could cross.
I know.
So I picked him up and took him across the street.
And starfish. Oh, I see palm trees. Woohoo! Where are you? Are you here? Are you in Florida? Here, we're gonna unmute you too. You looking
Can
for
you
your
hear
mute?
me?
Yes. Hi.
Hi! Oh my God! Finally, I can see you.
Hi.
No, unfortunately, I'm not. I am at home. There is a pool in the backyard and palm trees, but I am still in Las Vegas.
Okay.
But coming to Florida very soon.
Are you?
Here, yes. Hopefully by the end of this month. It takes 30 days to close on a house. So
Okay.
So within that kind of time frame.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. How far away from us are you?
I'm gonna be probably either in Palm Beach County on the north end or the south end near Boynton Boca.
Do you know where that is? I do not.
Yeah, about an hour away.
Oh, okay. Well, hey,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
got to get here, sit in this throne, do a hangout with us. I'm so excited.
I'm still trying to get set up here. That's why I'm all crazy, so I don't have to hold the whole thing up. So
You're doing good.
I'm doing good. Give me a second to move this and sit
You're
up.
fine. Just go ahead. We're gonna mute you, and I'll just keep talking. You just get yourself settled. So I'm
Fantastic.
so glad to see you. So
on.
I'm going to share, you guys. So I purposely looked up in my animal messages from your animal spirit guides oracle guidebook from Stephen Farmer, talking about farmers. And so the tortoise card. So look at all the spirals, and it looks just like our buddy that came to visit. And I was looking, I thought I had another turtle card in my animal deck, which, and so this one says, you're too fragmented. So do whatever it takes to get grounded. Well, if that's not a message for me this last 2 weeks, I don't know what is, because I've been feeling fragmented. And this is one of the things I wanted to remind you guys is we do not use a portion of our brain. We use 100% of our brain to have an experience that we're having, only using a portion of our brain. Same thing with feeling fragmented. You can never be separated from source. You can never be separated from all the parts that you are, but we are the only place in all of creation ever that is experiencing being separate from source. Nobody in creation can even fathom what that feels like to feel fragmented and separate from source. They can't even understand how we could play this game. But the thing is we have to play it and make it so real, or we ourselves wouldn't believe that we're only having a dream and that this is the dream. And when we go to sleep, that's our real multidimensional life. But we feel fragmented. We feel separated from our higher self. We feel separated from God. We feel separated from our angels. We feel separated from each other. Now we're told to be social distancing from each other. All of this is going to pass. And you know what's going to happen? We're going to be hugging everybody because we're going to miss all that physical connection and physical touch and using our hearts. We are not fragmented. We can experience being fragmented. This is what we have to remember is, even today I was reading about becoming the observer of our experience instead of a participant in an experience you don't prefer. Be the observant and observer. And even the turtle, look at how observant and quiet and slow they move, but they get there. And even with a little help from their friends, they get there. How many of us really do feel fragmented, especially right now with all of it's like the wool's been pulled out from under us and we're all like, what's next? But you know, Dave and I from the very beginning have chosen not to, and the turtle's green too. I just love it, all green. But we have chosen through these 49 days to not share the fearful experience and lower our vibration, i.e. immunity, in realizing it wasn't like we went out asking for protection every time we went out, or it was a knowing, a belief that from the very beginning, we had made a decision day one. We are not participating in whatever this is. So whatever this is, we're not a party to. And so it was almost like everyone would say, why aren't you worried about it? What do you think about this? What do you think about the new? We don't really, I don't know, because that's not part of our world. Yes, we had to participate in that. We have to order out, we can't dine in, we can't, you have to wear a mask to the grocery store. But other than that, it was from an observer standpoint. We did not participate in the energy of it. And the difference between, say, us and the people who may have is we really believed that we never needed protection, never needed to worry about it. And therefore we simply didn't. So it wasn't like we made precautionary efforts or did anything differently, or was like, oh, we're going out, we got to, put the wall of protection and angels, and none of that, none of it. We just, because we walk in a belief, a state of being. That's what this is all about for all of us, is to walking in the state of being, of knowing who you are, what you are, the God and goddess within you. That's why we do this stuff. So,
and we don't own masks.
No, we don't. We never once bought a mask. And actually, it's kind of funny because the lady at the grocery store loves him in the pink little shawl that he wears. That's mine. And I just have a little wrap that I wear, and I wear it and I just wrap it around I refuse. It was like, no way we were buying a mask. I'm like, I'm not doing it, not falling into it, not doing it. So, and it's just interesting how when it's not even a refusal. It wasn't resistance. It was more about allowing ourselves to stand in our own energy and be the example. Just be the example. So people treat us differently when it was very interesting to see the dynamic. And so and I have to say this last few days, because of the waking up all night and doing, I have been feeling this weird kind of fragmentation, disconnection, like I haven't been able to think, to connect. But even that's a belief system. So the card says you're too fragmented. Do whatever it takes to get grounded. And we talked about this, and Jody, Reiki Medium, we talked about this last couple of weeks ago, where she did a little grounding exercise with us and using the crystals for grounding. I felt grounded when I was feeling that turtle. Think about a turtle shell. They're low to the ground. They hide inside themselves. Dave knows how I'm a turtle. When I'm uncomfortable, I hide inside myself. I pull myself into my shell instead of coming out. And so this has been huge for me too, to explore my outside world and be vulnerable in ways that I never have before. It's uncomfortable for a turtle to come out of its shell, and it has to trust you. And so we have to trust our higher selves and trust that we really do have everything we always need, and that use the grass. Even if you can't plant your feet on the ground, you can use your imagination. Your imagination is so powerful, it has a physical effect. If you cannot put your feet on the ground, imagine your toes on the ground, in the cool grass, in the sand, in the dirt, in the heat of the sidewalk, on the street. Imagine, and when you imagine, your body has no choice but to respond. When we imagine, imagination, as Bashar said, you are making magic. Thoughts are things, beliefs. A belief is nothing more than a thought you keep thinking. So a thought is a belief, is an action. We act based upon those beliefs. When you're feeling pressure from any number of fronts, pulled this way and that by the demands of modern life, it's very easy to succumb to false sense of urgency, feeling out of balance and fragmented, and be in a constant state of tension. I've been clenching my jaw. I've been talking about that. I've been clenching my teeth, feeling that, like you said, Beverly, that hum, like there's something weird, like I find myself not even realizing I'm clenching my teeth. You can become forgetful and have difficulty sleeping. Serious to God, that's what the book says. You may even attempt to stabilize and center yourself by resorting to the use of addictive substances or activities, hoping that they'll help you feel more at home in your own skin. Meanwhile, your mind rushes ahead from one thing to the next while your body tries to play catch up. The technological web, consisting of computers, the internet, cell phones, faxes, and television, plus the noises all around. I've been having trouble with noises lately, you guys. Creating a constant assault on my senses, on your senses. Exhausting, isn't it? That's what the book says. Exhausting, isn't it? First, recognize that most things that you treat as emergencies or crises are merely inconveniences. I tell you, this guy, there's nothing to him as a crisis. Nothing is a crisis. Then slow down. And this is where we have to take the turtle tortoise point of view. Slow down. Move a little slower, move a little bit slower than you're accustomed to, and practice breathing slower and deeper every opportunity you get. And I was thinking about you, Jody, too, and having trouble breathing and the asthma. And I know this from my own family with asthmatic bronchitis, and the breathing exercises and the inhalers and the whatever that treatment is. And I know all about it. So it's about breathing. This in itself helps you align with your internal rhythms rather than being in a state of continuous reactivity to outside forces. Spend time in nature and take off your shoes and socks if you can. Putting your bare feet on the ground allows you to truly experience your solid connection to the earth. And again, you guys, if you can't in your immediate moment or at all, please use your imagination to do so. It is extremely important and extremely effective. When you do, notice the difference in how you feel and see if your mind isn't at least a little bit calmer. It may be challenging at times to do any of this, but it can be done. And I remind myself in the middle of the night too when I can't sleep, just breathe, listen to my breathing, imagine something else. It just takes your clear intention and willingness. Associations are longevity, determination, adaptability, patience, perseverance, earthiness, stability, self-reliance, focus, femininity. We're talking about goddess Friday, femininity, immortality, methodical, independence, another interesting synchronicity. But isn't this, when we come out of our shell, you guys, don't we feel independent and free? We've been talking a lot lately about freedom and independence. What does freedom and independence mean to you? It's different to everybody. And steadiness. So very interesting. And Dave even mentioned too how the next card aligns the unicorn. So I thought I'd mention that to you. Jessica too, my unicorn girl. So
Jessica had her hand up.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
earlier.
ahead.
I don't know.
I did not see that. Go ahead, Jessica.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm probably the least grounded individual on the planet, but I found that the 4 energy, the green, the harmony, the getting back to nature, I've been actually starting to really find my groundedness. And I was just writing as you were going through the show, and a way that I can interpret what you're talking about. So you think about the numbers 1 through 7. What's the middle number? It's 4, right? So it's the bridge between the 1, 2, 3 and the 5, 6, 7, the lower chakras, the higher chakras. If you have too much energy in the higher chakras, it's competing with the lower chakras and vice versa. You feel ungrounded or you feel not connected to your higher self. But if there's a perfect balance and you can be in the in-between, and that's what I wrote down, it's in the in-between, right? It's where nature and harmony resides. There's the ebb and flow, and it's perfect. And I've always found this very rigid just way to the world. And you were talking about feeling fractured and separated, and I've always felt that way. But when I go out into the nature, I go for a walk, or like I always said, I was always late for work, but I was never late for a sunset. It was never like a pain in the butt. I wouldn't miss a moonrise. If the full moon was rising, I wouldn't miss it. But it was literally like pulling teeth to show up to work on time, despite the fact that of my job. So it's, if you find yourself in a quiet spot, think about where and what is it in your life that literally has the path of least resistance. And here's the other thing you talked about, the hexagon, right? A fascinating thing, and I'm obsessed with bubble photography, and I watched this.
Oh, you guys, her bubble photography is so beautiful. It's amazing.
It's super fun, but the bubble, when multiple bubbles, right? You blow a bunch of bubbles or you have soap bubbles, they always form into hexagons because it's the easiest.
That's right.
It is literally the perfect fit, right? So you think about being in that in-between, right? Where you're not pulling, you're not pushing, you're observing. That observing space that you were talking about. It's being in the 4, it's being in the perfect balance. It's not allowing things to affect you, right? Like the coronavirus, don't allow the fear, but not detaching yourself to where you're not involved, right? And so I found up until this point that my whole goal is to literally find myself exactly where I am. And as you said, we are never fragmented. I connect very much with Grandmother Spider, and I was born in Hopi Land in Winslow, Arizona, right? So Grandmother Spider created the universe, and literally the web of creation from the very point of the spark of creation expanded outward in this spiraling web, and it's ever expanding, right? So you are never fragmented, it never separates. You're literally expanding out into the universe, and there's nowhere to go, because we're right, there's no separation in that spider web of connecting it all. And to find yourself in that space where you are not fighting anything, you're observing it, you're experiencing it, you're watching, you're in the in-between, right? You picture yourself in the in-between where you can see it all. And I just found that like so powerful. And the two number sequences that literally scream at me are 1, 2, 3, 4 and 3.14, which is a Metatronic number. But the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 literally is the answer to the universe. Everything. So you talked about the number 7, right? You also talked about when you experience one of the hardest things that you have to do and you get through it, you find yourself on the other side and things fall into place. That's number 8, right? So number 7 is that really powerful, hard spiritual number. Number 7 is my number for, it's one of the 16th, that 7, right? So if you vibrate with that 7, it's literally going to be the hardest thing, but then you fall into 8. What's 8? The infinity, perfect balance. And it goes back to the 4 and the 4. So it's literally, it's the in-between. It's the in-between. And then the last thing is with the turtles. I love the story that you were talking about with the turtles that take the light language out. I had gotten a message, and I do this when I go to the ocean, is I take a stone and I put like a prayer or a healing wish or an intention in that stone, and I place it in the water, and the ripple out literally expands through the power of the water, and it's so powerful. Oh, and if you have trouble grounding, which is, like I said, I'm up there somewhere and I have to come down, and I literally have to imagine, and the imagination is key. You imagine whatever cord, a rope, an anchor, a light, whatever it is that connects from above to below and goes through all of your chakras, down to your spine and into the core of the earth, right? And literally feel yourself planting into the earth. And I literally have to do that to feel that grounding and to align yourself. And it's the imagination, you picture it, and just picture yourself in between. And I suppose the last thing that I wrote that I wanted to share is, and I heard this in a dream, and it's so powerful, and it's about experiencing life in between, right? So as a human, there are all these quote unquote negative experiences, right? There's hate, there's fear, there's animosity, there's oppression, there's judgment, all of these things. And it's okay to feel fear, to feel hate, to feel angry, to oppress, to lash out. It's okay because you're human, and that's what humans do. And so if we look at the human and we acknowledge that these things are just the ebb and flow of the human, right? The human has these natural reactions, and on the contrary, the human experiences joy and compassion and forgiveness. And so the only way that we can balance out the fear, the oppression, the negativity, the density of the earth is to only combat it with the opposing color. If you have green, right? Your color green, the light, and you imagine red. So green on your front, red on the back, white light, they balance each other out. So the only way to alleviate any of those things that we perceive as negative is to literally face them without judgment, without fear. And if you feel those things, or you're struggling with not being able to let those things go, don't approach yourself with anger or judgment. Forgive and compassion and that harmony. And I watched a woodchuck die the other day, and I'm one of those people that it's years I couldn't watch an animal die. I couldn't watch the March of the Penguins. I got 5 minutes into it and I just shut it off. It's just, I couldn't handle the animal kingdom, anything happening to an animal. But I started to learn that it's the ebb and flow of life. An animal gives its life, and thank you for that gift. It's energy. And our dog, we have a pit bull, and he got a woodchuck, and it crawled under the deck right where we could see him. And I laid my head down and my boyfriend went to get something to help give the peace to this animal that was suffering. And I just laid down and I watched this animal, and he looked right at me, and he was just, and the pain of this animal, and this is something I never would be able to do. I would run down the street and close my eyes and block my ears. Like, I cannot see this, I cannot feel this. But even something as harsh and as painful and as dark and grim as staring into the animal as it is in pain and despair, and to take that moment and to accept it as a gift and an energy exchange, and then to give that animal the greatest kindness, which is to end the suffering. I mean, it's really powerful stuff, and it all comes to be just being in that in between, you know. And I just rambled on a lot, but that was I have written all.
No, we love that. We love when you guys share this stuff. It means a lot to everybody. It means a lot to me. It supports all of us. It supports me in all these synchronicities. You know, of course, everything you said is we all resonate with each other about all of that. I was reminded too yesterday, I'm sorry, on the 25th, the date equaled 7, and I was reminded, and it also happened to be exactly 6 months to the day that I moved here. And 7 is unlock. The symbol, the Syrian sacred circuit for number 7 is unlock. Mm-hmm. And for any of you who are unfamiliar, the sacred symbols are in the center. And then I asked Dave to translate them, the number 7 into Hebrew, and then the word unlock into Hebrew. So, because I felt there was a definitive connection, and even if I don't know what it is, it doesn't really matter. I was just guided to have him add that. So, and then that day, the symbol, so if you can see, well, here, I'll show it to you again. So if you look at the symbol for 7, mm-hmm. for unlock, then that day I started, and I've drawn a couple of variations of this, and then this one almost looks like a snowflake, but if you look at it and see that and then the key. Mm-hmm. So very interesting that
there are 8. Do you notice that there are 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 8 lines, right? So you have 8. And if you unlock the 7 and you get to that 8, and it's so simple, it really is to look at it like numbers, right? So to get to that infinity, the perfect balance, the key to getting to where you want to go is going through that spiritual evolution that is painful, and it hurts, and it's uncomfy, man. It hurts. It's uncomfy.
And even Bashar would say, as I hear them speaking now, they're even saying, you know, we can choose also to experience it as uncomfortable, or we're being asked now to literally, as even Cryon says, forget everything you've ever known, and that whole idea of no pain, no gain, it really doesn't need to apply anymore.
Well, why is uncomfy bad? Why is
well, exactly, and this is what you said.
Bad?
Why do we have
to negative?
How many people that we've noticed, even in the last 49 days, who have chosen to experience this as uncomfortable rather than from a place of comfort, and from the, as you mentioned, the observer standpoint, the center standpoint, and see the good things that are coming out of this, the positives in all respects. And even those who have transitioned, when we understand that death is not even what we think it is, that it's a beginning to the next part of another, you know, focus of your subconscious, that when you begin to understand that, it changes our judgment even about how everybody has decided to experience this circumstance. So you bring up a lot of really great points. And so all of us, as we're going through this, and are being asked to, and look at another turtle card, you guys. So this is from the Animal Spirit Guidebook. And one of the things I love reading about this too is, says, may you always be on the inner quest. And so that's one of the reasons why I love doing these readings and these hangouts, is because we're all on this inner quest. And this particular turtle, and this is an earth, so it's got the earth symbol. So here we're talking about earth signs and earth. So turtle, ancient soul, grounded, trusting, at home in the self, at home in the self. This is what we're being guided to, is to be at home in our shell, but to come out of our shell, but to be at home coming out of our shells. It is wonderful to be in the presence of a turtle personality. Like the beaver, the turtle has a strong...
Oh, we saw beavers yesterday. We watched him eat, and there was a baby.
Actually, the month I was born in November, which is 11, the full moon, and the Native Americans...
The beaver full moon.
Yeah, the beaver
I'm
moon.
a November baby too, honey.
So like the beaver, the turtle has a strong relationship with the earth and water elements simultaneously. This helps to ground and connect them to the deeper truths of life, no matter where their travels lead them. Turtle energy is behind all great writers and storytellers. Oh, Jessica! Jessica's an author, you guys. She writes amazing children's books, and she's quite the artist. It is so great. I love it. Oh, this is so wonderful. As they collect life experiences under their shells for later use. The most potent turtle energy helps us close all other books and begin to tell our own true tale.
Which is so important.
Yes. So when it's in balance, we experience peaceful, adventurous, and we're productive. When we're out of balance, everything slows to a halt. To bring it back into balance, you need to go on an adventure. So the turtle was going on an adventure yesterday. I felt, as I said in my video that I made yesterday, happy trails, happy adventures, turtle. Thank you for sharing your journey with me. Thank you for the privilege of stopping right in front of my door and giving me this amazing message to bring to everybody, and to remind everybody that this is why we do the Friday thing, to help you guys know yourselves more fully and come out of your shells. There is no really other reason than to see how it is that all of us are in televisions, stories, storybooks, novels, fiction, movies.
We're in the web, that
all of it.
Ever-expanding web.
I have done so many videos, light language videos with spider webs in them, and
grandmother spider.
I mean, my pendulum that I showed you guys last week, or the last hangout, was her name is Charlotte. She said, "Hi, my name is Charlotte."
I'm writing a book called Salutations, a Spider, and it's about getting to know your fears. And fun fact, you talk about superheroes, and you'll never guess who the 1970s original Spider-Woman comic, the Marvel character, what her name is. It's Jessica Drew.
Oh my God.
Not. And the spider have arachnophobia, right? So what is the spider saying? It is facing your fears. And I had arachnophobia, like you have no idea. And then I had these window spiders, and then I just started to get to know them, and now I have spiders all over my room, and I would just say, "Salutation, spider," until I wasn't afraid of them anymore.
Exactly. Isn't it funny that I am no longer afraid of them. Matter of fact, we were sitting out on the front porch the other day, and all of a sudden I felt this like plop on me, and a giant frog, swear to God, you guys, this thing had been big. I swear, plopped right on me. I was like, what was that? But it didn't even, like, normally I would be, because we have lizards running around and stuff, and normally I would, but it was like I felt this familiarity, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, it must have been I thought it was a big lizard at first, and I was like, oh no, it felt more like that ploppy feeling that a frog makes, you know?
Yeah.
And so it like plopped on me, and then it like clung to the wall, and it was like just hung on the wall there for a few seconds, just long enough to give me my message.
What's a here, what gives you that icky feeling, right? If everything is from that spark of creation is connected, and everything is the reflection of you and your in. So
He won't
whatever
even let me
that
kill a
icky creepy
fly. I can't even kill a fly in the house.
Oh, you should see some of the macro pictures I've gotten of flies lately. They are gorgeous. I've gotten emerald ones. I've gotten these aquamarine ones. But think about, what is it in you that you are scared of, that gives you, that you are, when you face those things, all of a sudden that teeny spider that would give you, like I would freeze. I would be like, I would put a cup on it. I wouldn't go in the room for like a week. I would be like, I would rather burn my house down. That is how, and that's how phobias are. You face something inside of you, like what does that reflect? You know, everything is a reflection.
I can't believe you're saying everything's a reflection. And I'm looking at Jody's note. Jody Riccomedian, your brother's name is AJ? Oh, come on. You mean, is it short for?
It's short for Austin James.
And AJ's, well, his name's on there, Anthony. So his name is Anthony. So isn't that funny that your brother's name's AJ? That's really funny. So anyway, you guys, I just want to say Anthony that just wrote in there, that's AJ. That's our AJ so anyway, that's Dave's grandson. So so it was funny too that there's another person on the internet that I every now and then I happen to be watching a video, and all of a sudden I'll see somebody else by the name of AJ typing in. So anyway, I just thought that was an interesting synchronicity to point out to all of you that Jody's brother's name's AJ and we have an AJ. And actually, I think this is the first time AJ has ever actually typed in the chat. He's been in our hangout.
AJ's been in the chat.
Yes, that's him. That's him.
What's up, my brother from another galactic mother? Technically, our household is an AJ because I'm a Jessica and my boyfriend's an Aaron.
Okay, so another AJ.
Yeah. So technically, it's an A and a J.
Okay, that's funny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier, I was looking up the whole 7-year cycle thing.
Oh, okay.
And there's a lot of different things involved with 7-year cycles, including astrological things.
Yeah, 7. I said the answer to everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The rainbow. The answer to everything. Everything is in 7.
So another thing that came up was scientists believe that every cell in your body recycles within 7 years. So every 7 years,
okay, I have heard
your
that.
body is entirely new.
I have heard that. You know, I always wondered about that though. When does it start and end? I'm like, okay, so if every
Right, wait. Now.
Can I tell you?
the answer's always now.
I have a really funny story with that. I have a professor, Professor McCullough, years ago from Cape Cod Community College before I transferred to Salem State. This guy was a trip, right? He had a big beard, he carried a cane, he had this big old vest, and he'd walk in and out of the room and he'd yell and scream. And he talked about that very thing, that you were never the same. Physics, you were literally constantly changing.
Exactly.
And he had this story about the 40 pounds of lasagna, right? So you bring 40 pounds of lasagna over to your friend's house and you put it in the fridge and you open the fridge. Is it the same 40 pounds of lasagna? And he's standing by the classroom door and he slams it. He's like, it's not the same 40 pounds. He does this like 8 different times and goes in and out of the room. And so forever, like every moment you're changing, that's just the physics of our beings. We're just so. And when you said that, all of a sudden I heard in my head screaming, it's not the same 40 pounds of lasagna. It's the same.
Well, that's the funny thing is that we understand from Bashar and the angels, and we understand, and now physics, math, science is telling us there are parallel realities. Everything exists simultaneously. There is no past, there is no future. Everything's right now, right now, right now.
And it's not the same 40 pounds of lasagna.
If that's the case, right. So if that's the case, then that to me,
how else could lasagna get better?
Well, we already know that's true. But isn't it weird?
Every moment.
So the answer is every minute.
Every moment is an opportunity to start to tell your story, to take your story to where you want it to go, to walk through something that you never thought you would, to embrace a path that you would. Every single moment is that moment. Every single moment is that moment now.
There is some connection with this idea and 7, and what you just said about 7 years, 7 days of creation, 7, there's 7 being spiritual. There's something about that idea that, and then of course the 7 colors, 7 chakras, that we know of.
Oh, I remember too, the agricultural thing. I think it's
Oh,
every 7
yes.
years, you're supposed to let the field rest.
That's true. Yes, you're supposed to let, that's right, because it has to, and even the crops get rotated every year to make sure that the nutrients aren't, you know what I mean? It doesn't exhaust them. And then we talk about the 7-year itch. How many people have talked about the 7-year
I was just going to say that.
yes, exactly. Where they've, I
itch.
mentioned that too, that somehow we have this idea that in 7 years, something happens, that we transform, that we change, that we review, we renew.
Well, most people don't have 7 for their actual.
But if we're new every moment,
Mhm.
and I even talked to Dave about that, about the 7 days of creation, like what's a day and what is it, you know, what does that mean? But if a day is every moment, and it's like, there's this idea of 7, that idea of 7 days and 7 years, but somehow it comes back to this idea of the spirit. You're
Well, the
always
circle of life,
always,
right? The
always
seed
here.
of life, the circle of life, the circle that expands outward, and the seed of life. And that's where if you look at it in the geometry, that's where the 7 days of the creation came from. It's literally in just the consciousness becoming aware, and then becoming the Vesica Pisces, and then turning into the seed of life.
The Vesica Pisces. I was going to mention that earlier. The Vesica Pisces, you guys, when you have the circle, the center of the Vesica Pisces that's a center point that, like Jessica was talking about earlier.
In between.
That's the observer standpoint.
Yeah.
That is the observer standpoint, the Vesica Pisces, that, and the idea that 1 and 1 equals 3. When you put 2 things together, there's a cooperation that happens, an alchemization, a synergy that happens that creates a third thing. That's what the Vesica Pisces also represents, is that third thing in the center, that when 2 things come together, it creates a third thing.
And you become aware.
The trinary trinity consciousness, it creates
1,
that
2, 3.
third thing. So all of these things are connected, and this is why we wanted to create a space to explore how are all these things connected. What does that have to do with our inner divine self? What does that have to do with written light languages and codes and ETs and first contact and dragons and rainbows? What is how is all this connected to earth and flowers and green? And so this is what our desire and intention is, to help us all connect the dots to see we are not fragmented. We're all one thing, just seeing all that one thing from a different perspective. We're
There's
all
nowhere to go. You're already here.
And each one of us is such a unique and beautiful piece to that puzzle. And I was noticing that too with the turtle, and how they look like puzzle pieces, and how I was looking at the driveway and the bricks, and how everything has to fit just right. And how each of us, when we really, really are, and I've done channeled videos about this, they have spoken about this before, about the puzzle and the puzzle pieces, and how each of us seems to think that we have to trim off a piece of our puzzle piece or something because it doesn't quite fit.
No, don't do that.
You can't do that. You've got to be the puzzle piece.
You are the puzzle piece.
Look at her. She's even got one, a tattoo. Seriously. So we're all and think about, you guys, look at a box. When we go to put together a jigsaw puzzle, we have the box next to us because most people do, because they want to see what it is supposed to look like, right? But how many people will throw away a whole puzzle because there's one piece missing? It's like the puzzle's not complete anymore if there's a piece missing. So we're like, well, this is no good. Now you can't see the whole picture, but only one piece is missing. So you see how important your freaking piece is to. So this is, and we exist, we always will exist. You don't die. You perceive you die, but you don't die.
You get out and up and woo.
Come out of your shell. You experience life multidimensionally. It is here in the third dimension, the third density, that this is the only place we are grounded. This is the only place that we can experience anything lower than the fourth dimension.
The 1, 2, 3, 4. The only way we can experience the 1, 2, 3, 4, or the 1, 2, 3
a lot.
you have to go to the 1 to the 2 to the 3 to the 4 in order to get to the 5 to the 6 to the 7 to get to those higher. You have to go through them all, and you have to start at 1. I mean, I'm telling you, the amount of times that I've looked at a clock and it said 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, and I'm like, I get it, 1 2 3 4, like it's drilled in my head. That's all I really need to know. That's what they keep saying. That's all you need to know. 1 2 3 4.
All you need to know. 1 2 3. So there's something about that, because I do see it a lot, and we even announce it, you know, in the house, like when it's 1 2 3 4 or 11 11. I wanted to mention too that Jesse just mentioned, Wendy mentioned nothing is the same because of parallel universe. I recently saw a news video that NASA just discovered a parallel universe on Earth. I did too.
Just one?
Yeah, I know. But they're catching up, you guys.
They
They're
only stumbled
catching up.
across one.
This is finally catching up to what we already knew. So, so yeah, Jody says she saw that too. And so yes, Jessie, that she says, I was excited because we're seeing these things revealed when we already knew they were there. Oh, earthing, the most important health discovery ever. Earthing. Thank you, Starfish.
Yes.
So, that is, earthing is it's a thing. Actually,
Put your feet on the ground, people.
So she's got, a mat kit. So that is something, yes, you can buy, you guys. You can actually buy earthing things. And I've seen things to put on your bed. So there's all kinds of these things that we can use, and tools and permission slips.
Make a spot in your garden. Make a little spot in your garden where you do make a little circle and stand there. Just put your feet on the ground. The ground is still. And just put them there. Stand.
And again, that's why I wanted to mention, because
I live in the desert.
AJ can't do that. He's in a wheelchair. So what do you do when you can't?
I've talked to AJ about
to imagine.
AJ is going to tap in. So what his superpower is, right, is he's going to develop that new way that we can't quite access, because we could put our feet on the ground. In order for him to access this, to get through his 7, he's going to find a new way to ground in a higher dimensional, and it's a superpower. It's a superpower. It's
you hear that, AJ?
Did you hear that, AJ? You have a superhero.
AJ's watching on YouTube, and he said, it's the weirdest thing because I'm watching you on YouTube sitting at the table here, but yet I'm outside with him.
Yeah. So
he's experiencing multidimensionality.
Yeah.
And
because Dave gets up. So when Dave gets up, he's going, and checking on AJ.
There's a little delay with YouTube.
So there's just a little delay. So it's kind of funny that, he can be watching him and I talking, but he's already outside. 101, 100, sunny Las Vegas, 1-1.
Wow.
Woohoo! Today, 101. Look at that. Isn't that funny? So all of these synchronicities. And so I wanted to tell you guys really quick too. I know we're getting to already past our time here, but I wanted to. There's always so many things I want to share with you guys, and I don't always seem to get through it all. But that's what's exciting about all of this. So I wanted to share a couple of things with you, and something that we mentioned earlier was about the stars and stargazing. And so it's funny that as I was shuffling the cards in this deck that Kyle, the Ancient Ancestors deck, it's funny how a story begins to unfold. And so it sort of began with a card, and then they just said, keep going. So and it's funny, this is a telescope, and it looks to be actually have a bunch of symbols on it, which I'm having a hard time seeing what the symbols actually are. But so the first one is, and this is something that we've all had more opportunity to do when we come in to ourselves, is looking at the stars, the sun, the moon. So stargazer. And if you see there's symbols, he's got all kinds of symbols.
Oh, those are the planets. Are those not the planets? Like Jupiter,
planet? Yeah, it looks like all the sun signs, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All the symbols for each of the sun signs.
Yep, that's the sun. That's Mercury.
So stargazer, set your sights higher. Now this is like a message for kind of like the last 49 days. And from here, as we're now at the peak and coming through this together, set your sights higher. The mirror guardian, taking the time to reflect. We've pulled this before, so we talk about reflect. We're being asked right now to take this time to reflect, to be a hermit, to retreat and recharge,
Check.
That's
to
what I've been doing.
find the inner shaman, as we talked about earlier, you guys. The shaman's job is to reach to the stars and ask the spirit world, what answers do we need for the good of the community? We are the global community, you guys, and you are all the shaman. And actually, if you look at the back of the card too, it's very similar to this card. The shaman, trust in higher forces. Those higher forces are you. They're your guides. They're your inner information, your inner shaman. Look at the symbols on the wheel here. The Native Americans, they named every moon. The owl, the symbol of higher wisdom and authority. The deer, antlers, the feathers. Look, Dave and I both wearing feathers. Even a feather. Jessica and I've talked about this before. She's got tons of feathers. So do I, you guys. The feather. Let that be the connection, the permission slip to connect with your angels. Use the feather to ask for protection, for higher wisdom and guidance. Ask to find a feather as a symbol of an answer that you're receiving. You will see that most of the time I'm around or near feathers or wearing them. So it's all a part of connecting to the higher self, the angelics, the freedom that we are. The higher wisdom. Oh, and look at this, a feather, our guardian angel, reminding ourselves you're not alone. Look at that. The Metatron star, guys, the Star of David. Look at that. And the moon, the eye, and the center circle, the feather. And I was
my feathers, look.
say there.
Jody.
Jody's got feathers. And I'm reminded too, my sister, once when we were together, she said to me, when there's a fairy here by the name of Feather. So, and the white feather, if you've been watching my channel for a little while, the white feather is also a symbol of course, the angels, but magic, white magic, this idea, white magic, you guys, is about what we talked about earlier about grounding our energy and drawing the magic from Gaia up into our beingness and literally bringing it in to our centeredness. That's what magic is. The white magic is about reminding you about the light inside of you. It's about drawing the energy in from Earth in this cooperative state and then using your imagination, your imagination, the magic within you, that magic to remember that you are guided, supported, but you are also what you believe yourself to be. And that you are not alone. The high priestess energy, we've been talking a lot lately about the Lyran and
Basset?
and we've been talking a lot about Bast, and yes,
That's it, Bast.
Dave and I have been doing a lot of research about that, which I wanted to, I'll be sharing with you guys a little soon too. But this particular picture, again, look at the up at the top. All of these symbols, the feathers, the snake, the serpent, the higher knowledge. Oh, I forgot. What is the name of this thing? We'll have to look that up.
The Ankh?
No, this is not the Ankh. What is that, you guys?
Oh, I don't know what
Like
that
does that make sound?
Oh, it's a rattle.
The rattle.
Okay.
We talked, I forgot about that. And then I've been feeling a lot of this Bast energy. Also, we're going to get into that in another story, but there's a big thing that he and I did some research this last week about. So, but this hangout on all of this, the high priestess energy, you guys, it's about invoking and embracing the high priestess within us. That's how I feel when I light those candles every day and light the menorah and the incense. Harnessing your mystic power. That's what we're doing right now, you guys. Why are we also interested in the pyramids and hieroglyphs and the information and free energy and even the structure itself of the pyramid? Somebody was asking him in the Bashar event about, remember the pyramid that he built out of he was asking Bashar about it.
There's a really fascinating, I did a meditation, I'll have to post it. And the visualization is you imagine yourself as empty space, and then you imagine this crystal pyramid in the space that you are, in whatever color, reflecting and spinning. And I had done this meditation with this visualization. It was the only time I've ever like consciously transported, and I met my 3 amigo light beings who were sticking symbols into my head and brought me to this place. It was absolutely incredible. So the visualization of this spinning pyramid, and I've only found Lillian Eden. Has them. I have to share it, but it's just it's like the transportational.
It is
mechanism, just like the Merkaba.
exactly.
It literally is we look at it like the physical thing, like it's going to shoot us up, but it really isn't. It's internal. Internal that we. Anyhow, I can't put words to it.
And you're right. That is our internal engine. I want to say engine. That is our engine. That double triangle is our engine, that Merkaba. And when you visualize that and it's spinning, it literally transports you. I'll tell you, I've had a lot of out-of-body experiences this last few weeks and months, a lot more than I ever have before. Even AJ's talked about outer-body experiences, even if they only last a few seconds or a few minutes, you guys, I'm telling you, it has been so bizarre. I mean, sometimes I'm just doing something mundane, standing in the kitchen, and all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, I'm actually having an out-of-body experience. Like I physically don't feel my body, and but I'm conscious. Or sometimes I'm literally, I want to say not conscious, but like, it's like, even sometimes he'll say, what do you say to me? Like, come back or something. It's almost like, because it's like he can tell I'm not really there.
You're so lucky he's there. I always picture you two, and usually I'm bouncing all over, but literally he's like an anchor, like literally he's just, and like it's so funny because he literally pulls you down.
Oh. And as what you just said reminded me of a dream that my friend Lainey would talk about a kite, and that's how I feel. Like I sometimes feel like some of us are kites and some of us are the ones who are supposed to hold on to the kite.
And if you come together, you have 4.
You know what I mean? It's
balance
like,
in between.
It's really weird because I do feel so grounded with him, yet this expansive ability to go beyond and expand, yet still feel very grounded while it's happening. It's a very new way for us to experience this age of Aquarius, this as we expand our psychic abilities, our clairs, we're beginning, all of us are starting to have very different experiences, and we're experiencing reality and time in a very different way, and we're losing time, we're sleeping different, we're eating different. Many of us are having these energetic what do I want to call, like fluctuations, where all of a sudden you get really hot.
Yeah.
This is happening. It's happening to a lot of people. And so and as we share these experiences with each other, we realize we're all going through them too, in various forms and times. And, and even if you're not, it's like we literally, when I say we, I'm talking about those of us who are watching and experiencing all of this. We're like we just talked about earlier, NASA, well, they're finally catching up to what we already knew, what we've already been experiencing.
Now, what do you do when you can't sleep? Or what do you do? Like, do you get mad and frustrated? You keep waking up?
Sometimes, yes, I get mad and frustrated. Yes, I do.
My boyfriend has a lot of trouble with this. It's like, I can't sleep. So don't go. Why do you need to be? If it's a struggle, you don't need to go sleep. I found
I've been either I just get up or I breathe.
In the universe.
Oh, go ahead, Beverly. What?
I was going to say, it's tradition. You just get up and have a cup of tea.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe that, because we love tea too. So maybe I should just start up, just get up and have a cup of tea.
and then you sort of you think, well, what shall I do? So you'll pick up. Well, I just go on the internet because it's I find something to read. And by the time I've sort of read a couple of things, I'm thinking, oh, I feel a bit drowsy now.
See, that's
You
a good
could
idea.
dance.
And
You
that's
could go
not
outside
something I
and
would
look at the
normally
stars.
do is look on, like the last thing I would do is get up and look at my phone, but you know, maybe.
You
So
can get dressed up. You
what I
could do
have been doing are the stargazing. I'll step outside and look at the
Oh,
moon.
yeah, I
and
do
look at
that
the
too.
stars. And so I've been doing different things, you know. But yeah, I think that sometimes my resistance has been, especially lately, because I'm not sleeping, I'm feeling less rested, then I don't feel at my highest, like I can perform at my highest joy and excitement. So then I get resistant about that.
Mhm.
Well, perhaps it's my guides are trying to tell me, slow down, just be quiet for a little while, just be still for a little while. And even my friend a long time ago said to me, thoughts are things. And I said, who said that? And she said, Buddha. And then she said to me, because I'm like a little hummingbird, I'm just, you know, most of the time I'm all over the place. And she said to me, just be a being, not a being doing.
Go with the flow.
And that's the thing, just go with the flow.
Go
If
with the
a little
flow.
while you're waking up, well, there's probably a good reason for it. What is it? And yet I find myself resisting it because I'm like, well, then I'm going to be tired, or I don't want to do this, or I don't, you know, and yet I have to realize it's not an interruption in my journey. It is a part of my journey.
You ever been walking through a field contemplating and asking a million questions and wondering which way to go, and then you see about 8 turkey vultures soar overhead at this weird dead slow pace, and you look down and there's literally a tiny toy isosahedron, which is which is water, which is go with the flow, and the isosahedron has yes, no, maybe. It's like a magic 8-ball, but an isosahedron at your feet. I don't know if this has happened to anybody, but I usually have it right here. My little isosahedron. It's like if you just go and sometimes literally the universe is like, here, hello, message at your feet. So when you get all those number messages, or you wake up or you get the ear bombs, and you're like, oh, I should be paying attention to this and this. They're just saying like, hello, like all of those yous, that's up there looking at you down here is like, hello. Hi, do you see me? You're me, I'm you, I'm reflection. Hello, hi, it's 333, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a shooting star, there's a turtle. Hello, do you see me? I mean, it's either going to drive us mad or drive us into the ground.
Oh, Jessica. I just saw, no, Jody said, I'm sorry, Lisa says, anyone here do total birth charts? The thing that you
Yes.
sent, the thing that you sent me,
Yes.
you talking about doing people's birth charts?
I call it incarnation mapping, and I have a book, and oh, it's right here. I have a book and I put it together, and I literally I have my numerology, right? My nameology, my numerology, my birth chart, my the whole thing printed out. My human design system. I call it your incarnation map, and I recommend that you do it if you have kids, if you're a grandmother and you have children coming into the world. Make them an incarnation mapping book, right? Like map out their birth stats, their numbers, what the vibration of their literally incoming, and map out your vibration, your name, your birth date, your natal chart.
So you do this. So do you do this for people?
Oh, no. I highly recommend people do it for themselves. I have an outline for a journal for people to like fill it in themselves.
Okay.
Because it's like a journey where you discover yourself through your numbers, through your vibration.
Yes.
Like the very moment that you came in, like I am so connected. I came in literally next to Sunset Crater, which is below Orion, which is through the portal I think I shot through on the same day as Terrence McKenna. Like all of the numbers are so, to the moment that you literally drew your first breath is the vibration that you exist and is in vibration with your life, your path, and those answers that you might try to seek. That I always tell people, start with your incarnation mapping. Start from the beginning, right? The first numbers that I would see constantly was 11/16 and 1987, 11/16, 1987, and that was my birthday. And my name was changed when I was 4, and my birth name was the JESSYCKA Drew. And so it literally was telling me, go back to the beginning. Go back to when you came in. What does all that mean? take on your, and find yourself at the start, at the beginning. And you can have somebody do your natal chart if you want, or you can look it up yourself, and read about the houses and your personality traits, and then you can get deeper. There's a human design system, and then you do your name and your vibrations and all that.
Oh, I've
stuff.
heard about that too, the whole human design thing. Yeah, I have heard a lot about that. It's very interesting. That's something that I've always been very interested in. When I was very young, one of the very first books I ever bought was Sun Signs, and the Sun Signs book. And so I was learning all about that, and then I started paying more.
Where did you get that book?
It's Sun Signs by Linda Goodman. And I'm talking, no, I had this book like, oh my
How
God,
old were you?
like 40 years ago. I was probably more than that. I was probably only, when I got it, I was probably still a teenager.
Was it a gift?
No, I bought it because I was so excited about learning. It was one of the first books I ever bought on the subject. And then I just was devouring the book. And so I don't know if the information is still relevant today or if there's been updates to the book or not, but nonetheless, it was a very, it was a good book for me. And as you guys know, if you've been watching me for a little while, numbers are a big part of the frequency of numbers is a very important thing, I think, to all of us, and that many are exploring. So this whole idea of repeating numbers and all that. So, but our birth charts and birth numbers. So anyway, if you guys are watching this video at any time, and if you guys do birth charts, let us know, and drop us a line and let us know if you do birth charts.
I have a book I can recommend.
But yeah, go ahead if you have
for
a book.
your birthday. A good place to start for, and I have this book, and it was actually a gift from my aunt, who's like this hippie aunt. She's like a star grandmother. I've had this book since I was like 6, and I read my birthday, and I immediately knew it's The Secret Language of Birthdays, and it's online now. And they've actually elaborated on it, and it's every single day of the year. And you go to your birthday, and it does your personality and your tarot, your meditation, and what they did is they studied a ton of people that were born on all the days. So you look at all the notables, I think they're called, all the people that were born on your birthday, they studied them. And they pulled all of these traits that are so similar. And I tell you, when I meet somebody new, I go to my book and I look up their birthday, and every single time it is to a T. You are numbers. You are
that's
vibration.
very interesting. Now you got me curious about it. I know Ivy wants to say something too. And I was going to say something I forgot, so I'll let Ivy talk. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. When my 20s, I got into astrology and didn't have computers and stuff like that. So I learned how to do it mathematically and all that stuff. It was almost like algebra. It sucked. And my first PC in the late 80s, and one of the first programs I got for it was an astrology program, and it would print and everything. We were pretty high tech. My husband was a computer technician. But now it's so easy. You can get the same information for free. There are apps in the App Store that are free to load. Yeah, I've checked them, and most of them are fairly accurate. And so it's sort of like whichever app maker's style resonates with you best. It's all pretty much the same information, because I've cross-checked them for factual stuff, as in they have the planets, the ascendings, the risings, all of that pretty much stays uniform through all of the apps. And the interpretations, they're all pretty much in the same park, Yeah. Because there's just, there's a number of ways to say interpret a Mercury retrograde, or having Mars in Taurus versus Mars in Aries. But there's different ways of wording it, but essentially it's the same. So if somebody was writing in asking where they can get a birth chart, they can look through the apps, and they can also get interpretations. So it's not like you get this chart and go, well, what does that mean?
Well, how
you can get in-depth interpretations, nodes and squares and trines and all that kind of crap. So that was my...
No, I appreciate that, Ivy, because that's true. There's a lot of information out there, and there's another one that I got introduced to through Dave called, what's it called? Gate, no, Gate,
The
no,
Gene
keys, Gene Keys, Gene Keys. This thing is so cool, you guys. So I just did mine a couple days ago and it's really good. I love this guy. I'll find the link and I'll send you guys the link because it's really cool. So one of the things that you can start with, as Jesse says, one of the ways I started with, add your numbers up of your birthday together and find out what your birth path number is. Your birth path number is simply your birthday, and you add up all the numbers and then reduce it to the smallest number. Now mine is equals 11. So if it's a master number, you don't add those. That is your number. So for example, Dave's is 12, right? Or 21, I forget, but it equals 3.
That's 3.
So his birth path number is 3. So when you add all the numbers up, you know, that plus this, plus this, plus this, plus this, you get a total, reduce it to the number. That is a really cool place to start, because once you like look up birth path number and even your birth path number, it's going to take you on all kinds of journeys about the similar information. So as Ivy said, there's lots of free information. You can get basic birth charts. And then of course, there are people who will do very detailed ones, like they did for Dave. And that's how I found out he's got 5 planets all in Virgo, you know, so very, very, it's interesting how this is a perfect example of someone who has a lot of that divine mother goddess energy, but yet very earthing, masculine energy. So it's a very interesting combination, very interesting, nurturing combination.
Precisely picked out at the moment.
Flowers and feathers, and feels perfectly comfortable doing so. So yes, I
think that when people are learning about astrology, I think it's important that they learn which signs are associated with which elements. You know, there's 4 elements and 12 signs.
That's true. Like mine is a fire sign, so I'm a Sagittarian, and a Leo, and a Taurus. So I've got 2 fire signs and an earth sign, as least of my 3 planets: my sun, my moon, and my rising sign. So the other one, matter of fact, I need a birth chart. I don't even know what my planets are. Where I don't even have one.
I've got.
Yeah, if anybody wants to exchange, I'll do a birth.
There's apps that go in depth. They tell you your
session.
I posted a link of where I was able to.
Oh, Wendy, there's apps that go in depth.
Okay.
They tell you your signs.
Well, I will.
Your trines, your squares, your
Well, see, that's, I don't know any of
all that.
So I'm excited about that.
Oh,
go ahead.
I've got an app on my phone that I'll send it to you later.
Okay. Okay, good.
You can play with it.
I will. Thank you guys. So yes, I thank you all that, and oh yeah, Jessica, the secret languages of birthdays. That's great. And to remind you guys too, Jessica Drew, if you guys have any children, or even if you're adults and want to check out her work, you can find her books on Amazon. She's got a lot of really interesting, really amazing children's books, and lots of really good information. So if any of you guys are out there, you're homeschooling, you've got kids, you're interested in a little bit high vibrational information, seeing the world from a completely wonderful, colorful point of view.
Resplendency. If you have kids, by gosh darn it, will you do their incarnation maps and share? I'm telling you, it's going to be huge, and you're going to want to journal and document the things that they say, their imaginary friends, their dreams from before they lose it. Like I have outlines for all of these journals, and to get to know your kids. Like right now is such an exciting time to have kids. If you have kids, oh my God, oh my gosh.
Oh yes, contact Jessica.
I'm past all that now.
You'll learn so much.
Yes, so I love it. See, I love all these interactions with you guys. And Lisa asked also, she says she's been seeing her birthday on clocks for decades, and that's true. I do too. Yes. I see my birthday and 11/11. Of course, I see everywhere.
It's spelling it out for you. It's literally spelling it out.
And Lisa asked also about doing a mini soul reading. So I think that first of all, I wanted to mention too, that all the cards that we pull on these Hangouts are for all of us and all of you. So keep that in mind, that when we're reading these, remember, these are very specific messages for you, because otherwise you wouldn't even be watching this or in here. So remember that these are all messages from all of our soul families and our oversouls and our oversouls. And we have to remember that even our higher selves, you guys, have oversouls. Even our higher selves have other fractals. So we have to understand that.
Oh, don't confuse me anymore.
Other aspects. This is a mirror of a mirror of a mirror of a mirror of a mirror, you guys. We've got to expand our consciousness and how we see what we're connected to. Like Jessica said, look at bubbles. When you fill a sink with bubbles, they all converge and connect and create these shapes. So, and yet they're all bubbles. Dave talks about bubbles and how we're in our own bubble because that's how we feel. We know in our bubble that we're in our safe space. And so with that said, the remainder of this reading, and I'm going to pull another card for you too as well, Lisa. Magic Guardian, unlock the magic within. So we were talking about number 7, unlock. We're unlocking the magic within, you guys. Magic. I Magi Nation. We're magicians. We are a nation of magicians. We are magic. The magic is what we're drawing up within us. And look at the feathers, angel feathers, angels. And look at this. I mean, even the picture itself, the light, she's holding a bowl with incense in her hand, connecting with the higher self. Look at the star, the star of life above it, the fleur de lis. Am I saying that right? So
I like that she's wearing black because it's the dark and the light.
And
Like
the red, the grounding, you guys.
The red and the grounding and the black, yeah.
See how grounding those colors are?
Mhm.
And the Earth Guardian, stay rooted and grounded. I did not pick these cards, you guys. They all came up. Stay rooted and grounded. So we've got the dream catcher talking about dreams. Reminds me also of the spider web, the feathers, the guardian angels. Rooted and grounded, rooted and grounded. And the green and the third eye. What else do I see on here? What else do you guys see on here? I think I got all that. Holding the staff. Oh, look, and it's even.
Oh, there's
Look at that staff. Look
in the middle of the staff. There's Metatron.
Yeah, so it's almost like the stars. Is that like a sacred geometry? Is that a spider web?
Oh, a spider web. What we were talking about earlier.
Medicine Guardian, another green card, you guys. The virus. What are we talking about right now? We are our own medicine.
Is it the caduceus?
Be open to healing information. So you guys, when we're out there, I was just looking the other day, Dave and I were talking about natural medicine. Ranger's got some infection. Oregano oil, colloidal silver, Manuka honey, you guys. Everything we need is here on the earth and it's right here. Just look. All of these things are here for our healing. We are here, you guys, now to finally receive higher learning when it comes to medicine and forget everything that we have always known. Isn't this also part of this whole thing? Taught us to start looking at alternative medicine again, to remember what's important, be open to healing information. So this is a message for, I'm hearing loud and clear for all of us. We are being asked to look at you guys, the symbol.
Dodeca, no, not a dodeca. I saw you drawn.
What is that one, you guys? The five,
Five, isn't it?
one,
Yes,
two,
it's the,
and if you add them together, it's 5 on the 5 sides on the inside, and then you get 6 on the outside. That equals 11. So very interesting. And then of course, an angel is represented by an angel.
Raphael.
White witch, be the light. So we were talking about that, about me, and the lighting of the candles in the morning. Well, that sure as heck looks like how I feel in the morning. Oh, there's our owl again, you guys, and the staghorns. White witch, magic. Be the light, be the light. That's what they were telling me. That's what they tell me every morning. Just be you, be the light. Oh, look at the butterfly just in her hair.
Mm-hmm. That actually looks like a moth or fly.
Pentagon. 5.
Pentagon, thank you.
Pentagon.
How could I not know the Pentagon? We have a Pentagon here in the United States.
Pentagram.
And isn't it funny? Pentagram and Pentagon, 5-sided, and we look at our Pentagon as having, like, you know, secret information. Great teacher. Look at feathers again, you guys. You are all great teachers. You are
And
your
the
own
flower
teacher.
of life.
Learn from your spiritual experiences. The flower of life again. There it is again. The white feathers, the dove. We have doves out here. The white feathers, magic. You are all great teachers. Learn from these spiritual experiences that we're having right now. Medicine mother. Honor your inner knowing. We talked about know thyself. So I hope, Lisa, that some of these messages are resonating with you, because I'm feeling like every one of these is part for you. And you got the designs. Look at the designs in the background, you guys. I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about that in the next couple of weeks too, about certain things that have to do with that, about drawing and symbols and things. Medicine mother, honor your inner knowing. When you're hearing that, go ahead, Dave.
Lisa says yes.
Like, good. When you're hearing that inner knowing, that's your inner healing, you guys. You are your own healers. We are our own healers. Stop giving your power away to everybody else. Shapeshifter. Look at that.
Oh.
Wendy Wolf. Is that an eagle or is that I can't tell what kind of bird that is.
It's like,
Can you show it again?
Spiral.
could be a hawk.
Transform and unveil your gifts, you guys. Transform, number 13. We talked about 7 times 7, 13. I mean, 49 is 13. The serpent, look at the serpent up in the sky. And of course, there's the serpent again around the wolf's neck. Shapeshifter, transform and unveil your gifts. What did Dave read earlier about knowing, about trusting your own gifts? Don't compare yourself. You're your own puzzle piece. What are your gifts and abilities, and where are you not? Taking your highest joy and excitement moment by moment as far as you can take it without insisting on any outcome, to shapeshift, to transform your reality. Mother Earth, well, well, well. And look at those beautiful symbols. Mother Earth, feel loved and comforted. You guys, when we do these hangouts, I feel loved and comforted. I want you to feel loved and comforted. We are never alone. We are always loved and comforted. And even when we don't feel that way, this is where we have to look to our inner self, our inner knowing, our inner, and know that we're always connected and supported. Even if you are alone right now, physically alone in your world, you are never alone. And you always have Earth to connect to feel loved and comforted. And how many people feel like they need a person, a being, a relationship? We are being asked to have a relationship with ourselves, with our God, with our inner light, and with Mother Earth in order to feel loved and comforted. Stop looking outside of everywhere else for love and comfort when you've got it inside yourself. And part of the reasons why we do this is to remind all of you of that, but to also create a place where you feel loved and comforted. Holding the space. Well, there we go. Here we are holding this space. Each of us are holding this space for each other. The druid, the ancient knowledge, once again, holding a staff, feathers. We've seen a lot of feathers today. This is important to me. Oh, and he's got a serpent on his arm. And how many cards here too have had dreadlocks in their hair? Love you, Ivy. Love your dreads, babe. So isn't that interesting? All the feathers, all the wisdom. What is that animal? I can't see what that is. Maybe it's a raccoon or something, a raccoon tail. I can't tell. Is that a crystal? It's a crystal at the top of his staff. You guys look, the light.
Mm.
Oh, he's a way shower.
Oh, look at, yes. So we are all druids. We are all the masters. We are all the teachers, holding the space for each other. Right now, this is what we're all doing, is holding the space. Lady, another green card. I can't believe this. Enjoy growth and reap the rewards, the harvest. And we were just talking about the celebration today of the harvest of the barley.
There's 4 apples and she's got 4 points on her thing on her hair.
Oh, very interesting. And she's got a serpent around her. Well, I guess it's not really a serpent. It's just an armband. She's got the seeds of 5, you guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, yep.
Is that a pomegranate or is that an apple?
I think it's an apple.
I think it's an apple. Yeah, it's an apple.
That isn't that symbolizing like Adam and Eve, an apple, and being allowed to eat
and
the
knowledge.
apple.
Yes.
Yeah.
A good idea. That's a good point, Beverly.
You know, that we've always been told that they, you know, that humans were punished because of Eve and the apple.
Yes.
When actually it's what others want us to believe, to be afraid, when we've got the apple anyway. We can eat the apple anytime we like.
And I've got the apple up here. My mom gave to me. It's up behind me. It's a little golden apple. And it was my message from which actually is covered in little hexagon shapes, by the way. And it's a golden apple. My mom gave it to me. It's the color topaz, which is my birthstone for November. So she got me that yellow one. She gave it to me. But teachers of the teachers, you guys, were the way showers. Every time I look at that apple, I think of you and all of us and how we're all connected. We are the teachers of the teachers, the next wave of children, the next wave of the way showers, showing the light that each of us has this beautiful light to share. And so that, and actually, was that the last one? I think that was. So I think the lady was the last one. So that's where we're enjoy the growth and reap the reward. So that is the last card. And isn't it interesting that it's about the harvest, reaping the rewards? Where are we reaping the rewards from this experience the spiritual experience that we've all been having globally? What rewards are we all reaping from this? Personally, collectively, this is what we've been looking at as the bigger picture, that eagle perspective. And I wanted to pull a moon card really quick too, because we're in this crescent moon, this new moon phase, the Gemini, the twin, the reflection. Stacy DeMarco, guidance through lunar and seasonal energy. So I wanted to remind, here's the back of the card, you guys. I love that, the moon phases. So lastly, as we say goodbye, because we've been here for a little while today, you guys, so thank you so much. And the moon and the stars. Oh, Lisa, these hangouts make my whole week. Thank you. And love you guys. Sorry we couldn't make it last week. So I appreciate all the love and comments and wondering where we were. Yes, everything's fine. Just had some other things to attend to. So, but thank you guys for always being here and waiting and showing up and holding the space with us and creating the space with us. And it means a lot to us. And we love your participation. We invite all of you guys to come in the room with us and hang out. I love that you guys are here with us. Jody, Ivy, so glad you're here, Starfish. Yay! Can't wait to meet you. So excited to meet you, Beverly. And I'm telling you, Beverly, swear to God, Jessica, we talk about you guys all the time. All of you. We talk about all of you all the time. And I love how you guys send me all the private
That's why
messages.
my ears burning, huh?
Yes, they are. And you know, I have to say, I'm going to put AJ on the spot out there, but you know, AJ talks about talks a lot about you, Beverly. I don't know. There's some energy going on there. I don't know. There's this wisdom back that and fun, and Jessica, of course, and Jessica and AJ. So yeah, it's but I just have to laugh because we really, really, really do think about you guys, talk about you guys, love, and I was even sending stuff to Jody and sending my healing to her, and And, so yeah, I love it. I love interacting with you guys and being in this space with all of you. Peace. The card that turned over is peace. And would you believe it, you guys? You can't make this stuff up. Waning crescent moon. And I think the bottom, the number I think is the phase of the moon. So the phase is number 5. But look, now, if you look, 28, that's my birthday, you guys, the 28th. So 28 equals 1. So we're talking about centeredness. The number 1 symbol is center. Number 28, my birthday, peace. And isn't that ultimately what we all want? No matter what, no matter what, really, isn't that really what we all want, is peace in our hearts, peace for each other, peace of being, your state of being in a state of peace. That, in a nutshell, is what I want to bring, have always intentionalized in all of my videos, all of my light languages, that we're all connected. You're not alone. You're not crazy. You're supported. Even if you wake up one day not knowing what's going on, or you're speaking languages or connecting or want to, or receiving messages, tones in your ears, all the things that we've talked about, physiological changes. This is the age of Aquarius. This is a time for us to start everything new and forgetting everything we've ever believed. What is it that you need to bring you peace inside of yourself? What is your highest joy and excitement? Where are you being called upon to come out of your shell, to ground your energy in such a way that you bring your highest joys and talents and abilities here on earth? How may I serve? When I stand at that altar every morning, I ask, how may I serve today? How may I serve my highest joy and excitement? How may I serve all that is? How may I be more of all that I am and know more of myself, and in that way serve to the best of my ability? And if we can all ask ourselves that every day, it puts us in this observer standpoint, this place of service and yet understanding that is self-serving. When you are in service and performing your highest joys and gifts and abilities, that is your service. Your joy is your work is your joy, your play is your work. That is the way it is supposed to be. And if we're not doing that, we're being asked to take this time to figure that out. And what is it that is going to bring us that joy? What's going to make us feel free and at peace inside of our hearts? So I wish all of you peace inside your heart. I love the green today, this whole idea of green energy. I thank all of you for being with us. And it's amazing how fast the time flies. And as tired as I am, I always say we're going to keep it short, and then I never do.
Is there a message from the green man?
Oh, gee, I don't know. Maybe I should be asking you that. I actually called him Green Man. So I actually, and Osiris and Isis's counterpart, right? So a lot of interesting synchronicities there. So Zavashanote Elasa Senatoriando o Maroko Sevashanose Intia. Mi ave sanasoma elevo soma teva kadiano kopoko senese. Sevashano tovashana inkaya po soma liana niato. Inandikela kwokiama soto vashanase tenkia. I'm reminded that when we are at peace, and we emanate peace when we walk through the world, you are a walking, living example of peace. Simon Taibeke and Tia Shonasi, Siamani and Naniato, Pi Amaro Koshe, Simisima so Fascinati Kia. When you are at peace, it shows on your face. Siamo Sevashanote Vikia, the joy, Yasomasete, emanates from you, the softness. Imashovakia Sanasete, Sebo Somate Versu, Sefa, Inambiato, Peace is beautiful. Authenticity is beautiful. Niva Omaya Shanase. Iawa Hokoshine Siva Soma Sevaso Wahali Kisanase. Miavoku Sevashane. Sharing your gifts and abilities is beautiful. Nabel Goyana. Sevashona Tevashonase. Biapo Osase. Sevashona Teva Ora. When you do what brings you peace, Vashonoteva Aliana Niato. Diavashana, you carry the entire collective consciousness into the vibration of peace. Zavoshonote, Ziavosamasete, Inayamanawa Oporokushanashe, Setosa, 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 Miasa, Yinaviat, Miatalia Ashe, Ianate Oso, Asomate, Iana, Iani Toko, Yasha, let it be. Yevaroba ite shanase, Ianana nohaku, Leshono salvationase intia, Miavite, Iahayanate kalakupa, Sevosho, Ti ite sanase, Tiamarokase. And every day when you leave for your respective lives, Niabosa, take a moment to honor the East and the sunrise, to honor the West and the sunset. Niavosonote, to honor the South of the everlasting sun, Diavosomashetekia, and the North of Viashonote, Sevasonote, the shade, Kiavose, the cool, Zevashonote Vashane, but yet they all meet, they all intersect, Diavosonote Vasho, Veshanose, Tiavo, Biante, Kiasomashonate Vaso, Piato, Vyashanase, numbers, longitudes, latitudes, parallels. Zivashonate Velonko, Vashanate Vasonopadevankoya, Veshanose Visanobatlianta Isanasate, Antayashanose, Sivashone Vekubayanate Asanase. So I want to say to all of you that Hilla Chrising is making her presence known. She is a cryptic. You can find more about her on bashar.org. Zevashano, she teaches the 5 levels of mastery. Each and every one of you is going through the 5 levels of mastery. Shapeshifter is one of them. When you speak to nature, you are speaking to your own reflection. You are all made of the same elements. And I was reminded again, the stone speakers, speak to the stones, speak to the earth, speak to Gaia, speak to the crystals. Every one of them is a reflection speaking back to you. Telling you exactly what you need. In that now. And allow that now to be new. Let go of what you needed a moment ago. Accept what you need now to find peace in this now. Parallel realities, all exist now. All of you and all that is, all exists now. Nyatobe, you exist and always will exist. Everything is here and now. What you put out is what you get back. Diavashano devishano savasana to alaku batea savaso teva. So what you believe is what you experience. That is your magic. Shavatu, the one is the all. The all are the one. The one is you, the one is the all. When you go out, you go within. When you go within, you go out. You expand. You realize more and more what you are capable of. How may I serve my inner peace, my inner heart? And allow that to change moment by moment. Viashote, viashote. Nature is never the same moment by moment. Devoshona sevasonoto, sabashonate, yarushana sete se. Everything is a reflection in nature of you, a mirror of all that you are. Nyavosona sete, a cooperation, a co-creation. Devosona tevekia, lejese, lejese. Sevasonote kia, voroshatea. You hold the magic already. Zivashanoteasa, Sabashana tiavasana, tiasha. Now share it, explore it, diavose, live it. Niavoyanta, leato, leato koya, viasha. You are more than you ever knew you were. Tiaso, sianase, siate, miake. Namaste. Kirshayana tias unu tua shui kiaso unu su ua hasha ioku umahishe su miyaku tiasho miyaka. That was from Bast. That last one. Oh, okay. Now I'm really hot. Woo. Well, I guess I'm going to say goodbye, everybody. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for prompting that. I hope that was helpful for everyone. I honestly already don't remember what I just said. So. Thank you. Thank you all. I love you. I love you. I love you. We love you all. Thank you for being with us today. And if you're new to me, my channel, you can find my website, Languages of Lights. It's always expanding and growing. Speaking of services, I've got a page of services on oracle readings, symbols, private sessions, mentoring, private videos, audio recordings, all of these things to help you become and understand more of all that you are. And we're working on all kinds of new things for all of you guys and more content. And so I thank you. I love you. I love your presence, being in the space with us. And thank you for your love, your guidance, your patience, your information, your comments. We love you so much. So I do appreciate that. I just wanted to see if there was anything else. Peace to all of you. Shatia. Thank you all for being here. Kia shonate. I love you. I love you. I love you. Kuya. Natea. Namaste. Shioto.
Happy Goddess Friday.
Happy Goddess Friday.
Have a nice weekend.
Love you guys. And if you want to stay in the hangout, you can stay. We're just going to go off live. So, yeah, shote. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Oh. Hey, I got two Jodies. No, Ivy. Hi, Ivy.
How are you? I'll stay for a minute. I've got some stuff going on, but